But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody's checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but it could be fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. Asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Well, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we talk ritual magic, as we talk synchronicity. And not only that, the culmination of what I'm calling Contact Day, the ritual convergence. And, of course, the Trickster Summer event we've been talking about for weeks now. And the more I look into this, like I said, like I've been saying, the more things seem to stack. Now, as usual, the questions are many, and that's the point of this, is not to really paint the case that reality is a simulation or that, the world really ended in 2012 or any of the rest of that stuff. But also, it's to kind of look at those theories and those ideas and wonder what the hell's happening in the conceptual space. As I like to call it, it is a philosophical construct. It is simply a conversation. There's no truth to be found here, just ideas and conversations among many amazing people. So tonight, we are taking your phone calls. As always, if you want to be part of the conversation, the number to call is 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Okay, let us begin, shall we? Now, let's start here. And this is 2012. Remember the old theory that the world ended in 2012? Yeah. Remember why that was actually a theory and why it went around? I've got the links down below, but one Nick Hinton actually put up this thread, and I think he put it up in 2019, July of 2019. But he kind of put together a bunch of the pieces of in the conspiracy realm of what people were saying and considering, and that since 2012 things felt different, things felt odd, and almost as if something was off. Okay, and he put together this amazing thread. Links in the description down below. Please go check all this stuff out. but he was kind of putting the pieces together in the sense of CERN firing up right around finding the God particle, of course, on July 4th of 2012. And then where things started to get weird and wacky was sort of that reality manipulation space of the Mandela effect, which we talked about last show, of course, specifically and directly for this reason. And the ultimate trickster, of course, being Mercury or Hermes, which check out the last show if you're into that. But here's the weird part, right? You can read this conspiracy thread all the way down, and it's about CERN, and it's about realities twisting, and about the idea that if the world ended, would we even know conceptually, scientifically? Let's say that maybe the string theory stuff is real, or the many worlds, or whatever's going on with this, meaning that if there was a catastrophic vacuum decay, as discussed by one Stephen Hawking when he was alive, rest in peace, he was talking about this idea of CERN and so much power punching a hole into space-time itself and creating a black hole here on Earth, which of course would be that stratospheric catastrophic vacuum decay, which would end reality as we know it in the blink of an eye. And so, of course, there's some scientific eye rolls that come as part of that, but also as all of this convergence is happening, this is all linked to July 4th, because July 4th, 2012, not only was it the end of that Baktun at the end of the year, December 21st, 2012. Remember all that to do, the dust up about the end of the world. And, everybody likes to talk about the end of the world. It's one of our favorite dooms. But in this particular case, it happened in the same year, mere months from the discovery of the God particle. Now, if you remember, CERN, as I described, actually announced in a press release on July 4th, 2012, the discovery of the Higgs boson, or what they were calling then the God particle. Okay? Now stick with me. And this is where all this comes full circle on all these wild ideas we've been talking about. Again, shout out all the team out there, Derek the Night Stalker, shout out James, shout out Rivers, shout out Jen, shout out all the people, all the amazing callers and the chat that has been feeding information into these ideas, because it's not just me. I'm in the middle of all these amazing things that are happening, and I'm recognizing them, and we're recognizing them together. And what the hell is actually happening really becomes the question. So, all right, back to this. Now, CERN, catastrophic vacuum decay, the Mandela effect, which was actually a term that was coined around 2009 by one Fiona Broome, Broome or Brume. I've seen it spelled both ways. But basically, the long story short of it is she was at a UFO conference, a paranormal researcher, and she recognized that she believed that Nelson Mandela had passed away sometime in the 80s in prison. But he was still alive and well, and this has been well documented. But when she brought it up at the conference, many other people also had the same misremembrance, the collective misremembering, which became, again, coined this Mandela effect. But then also, so at the same time, this is maybe a year before when it starts gaining some traction. It was maybe a year before the CERN situation, maybe 2011, something like that. So, there's the time between the discovery, the time it takes to gain traction in the idea space, and for people to have heard of this thing. So it's not instant. But anyway, it's a very close convergence of this entire saga, not just we've been talking about now, but since 2012, and even beyond that, because of course we're talking about the Baktuns of the Mayans. We're talking about the 25,000 year cycle. So what does all of it mean? Look, the hell if I know. I wish I knew, but it seems to me that something is afoot. And not only that, I'm calling this Contact Day and this ritual convergence specifically for the reason that not only did CERN just shut off a couple days ago, we talked about that recently. Not only that, we've got the 250th 4th of July, which is baked inexorably into the idea of alien disclosure through the movie Independence Day back in 1996, which releases tomorrow, 30 years ago. Okay, we got the 30th anniversary going on of this movie. We've got the 4th of July, the 250th. We've got a 3-day weekend. We've got all manner of things converging in this singular space of, don't forget, this is the trickster summer. We started with that wild Donald Trump website about aliens.gov that was an immigration website. It was a thumb your nose at actual disclosure advocates and contactees and experiencers and you name it. anybody who took any of this seriously was snubbed instantly before any of the disclosure files came out. And then, of course, we've got Steven Spielberg. We've got all of this happening. And, of course, being sealed in the ritual space of the 250th 4th of July, Independence Day. So, once again, look, no truth here. Just ideas, just pointing out all the things and wondering what the hell is going on. And when we have convergence events like this, do you think it is planned in some capacity? And I don't mean like clearly you couldn't plan this 30 years ago, but do you think there's some actual media architect putting this stuff together, or maybe a cosmic architect putting this stuff together? I mean, what do you believe? That's a question I like to ask because it's important. And also, it might be the difference between this in your mind's eye being meh or being something very real. So that's where we're at. That's where this starts. If you're into the reading the write-ups, I highly recommend this one. It is very good. It kind of just traces down the entire thing. And we'll talk about CERN tonight. We'll talk about the collective misremembering. We'll talk about this whole idea of 30 years of Independence Day that has been woven into the fabric of 4th of July itself. And the big one coming on Saturday night. Yeah, is it three nights of fireworks now? So tonight probably, because it's kind of the de facto Friday night, because tomorrow's the federal holiday, which is the 3rd, which is the release of Independence Day 30 years ago. And then the 4th is going to be, of course, the big day, the 4th of July. So maybe we have 3 days of fireworks. I don't know. Let me know if you guys are hearing fireworks out there. Okay, so we are taking your calls if you want to be part of the conversation. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. But before we do that, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. In this case, that will be the Stoic Mindset, which we definitely need in these trying times. Be right back. More Troubled Minds in just one moment. Do not go anywhere. Feeling stressed, overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, not to be outdone, today, right now, as we speak, in this moment, is also National UFO Day. Weird, right? Sometimes all these convergence event, can I say it? Convergence events, slow down, Mike, actually seem to be almost cosmically scripted. It's incredibly strange to me. So what do you know about this? Again, so stack all the stuff we've talked about over the past several weeks with all the stuff right now. The CERN thing, shutting down until 2030. And look, 2030 is heavily packed with the conspiracy mind space. Agenda 2030. Everybody knows it. Everybody's heard of it. It was uttered aloud by the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, who dresses like Darth Vader without the mask. I mean, what the hell's going on here? And it seems almost as if, like I said, the more you look, the more you see. And are we supposed to? Is this all part of some larger theatrical cosmic show? All the world is a stage in the sense of all the cosmos is a stage? Or like I said, is this just an overactive imagination noticing patterns that are just a mere coincidence? You tell me. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. So many things here. Go read the write-up. Go back days into this conversation, weeks we've been talking about this. What do you know and what do you believe? And how strange does it get? Let's go to James in Michigan. What's up, brother? Salcedo Paranormal. How are you tonight? Welcome to the thing. Thanks for being patient. You were on Troubled Minds. Go right ahead.
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You sound fantastic.
Good. I'm glad because I have a fan going because, Michigan summertime can get interesting. But yeah, this is an amazing. This whole thing is amazing to me, and I kind of hinted at it in the Discord earlier, just before the show. On a level of, I wonder if there really is some kind of a trickster consciousness, and again, to me, that doesn't mean automatically it's evil or that it's good. It's just something that is causing some kind of chaos or disruption in patterns for who knows what reasons. And I wonder about that alongside the idea of where do ideas come from? And I know we've talked about that before. A lot of times in the form of like fiction and things like that, but I think also it can apply to things just ideas in general. That people have throughout life and throughout all the lifetimes throughout time. It makes me wonder if either through, not even necessarily through like the weirdest methods like downloads or sending thoughts into people's minds or anything like that, but just maybe through the environment, through changes in energy, through weather. Is there something that sometimes does cause things to happen to give people ideas that then they focus on, and more people focus on throughout time, and to the point where you have civilizations focusing on certain ideas, like with the Mayans and everything. But and again, I don't think that it's necessarily the same as whatever is in charge of like patterns in the universe, like the whole idea of everything happening for a certain reason. I don't know if it's the same entity or consciousness or, I don't know, mechanic of reality that is doing that, but I think it is possible it's there. And why it's doing all these things and making all these dates connect with each other, these different events, I have no idea. But it's been fascinating to look at.
Yeah, 100%. And oddly enough, like the World Cup stuff and all the sports ball, business we started with, the NHL and the NBA, and again, shout out Night Stalker for bringing a ton of that really swirled into this larger space of the synchronicity engine of what's actually happening. And, we've talked about synchronicity storms in the past and how they kind of just come up out of nowhere. And when you're not looking for these things, they're just smacking you upside the head, one thing after another. And even, kind of at a dizzying rate. So in this case, like I said, when you look at this stuff, it's happening. I mean, like I said, all the stuff I've been talking about, all you guys got to do is go do sort of a cursory fact check on the things that we've been describing. And this is all real stuff happening. And so the question really becomes is how many synchronicities are too many synchronicities that really start to make you wonder if we are living in a simulation. And look, I'm saying that to be provocative. I'm saying that to further a conversation. And I hate the idea. I really do. I've talked about this in the past quite a lot. I loathe it. My ego hates it. I do not want to be a digital entity in some computer somewhere. However, when you look at this type of synchronicity happening in a larger scale, I don't know, how else do you describe it? How else do you look at the larger context of all of this in a organic cosmos and say, well, here's the answer, Mike. And I know the obvious one. There's a very obvious answer here, but is it the right answer? And that becomes really what the question's about and what the conversation is about. Fire stuff. What else you got, James?
Yeah, it seems to me I agree with you on the whole simulation thing, but it is fascinating because you have these larger events happening, and then you have the things that don't get talked about a ton, but these other glitches, let's say, in reality, these people seeing grids of lines in the sky in like a different colored patch of sky in some cases, people seeing objects or people or animals literally freezing in place for a time and then moving again. So I don't like it either, but also it is odd. I don't know how to explain it. But it makes me wonder, is all that connected? Are all these synchronicities being caused by the same force or consciousness that causes a lot of what we call anomalous or paranormal activity, including anything in the sky, UFOs, UAP, orbs, whatever? How much of this is connected and how much isn't?
Yeah, and the UFOs back to that. So this is World UFO Day, and which means the Kenneth. This was not the Kenneth Arnold sighting. That was June 24th, I believe. So all these things happening right now, sort of in the mind's eye of the larger sinks we've been talking about this trickster summer, and recognize it is a convergence. There's a ton of energy flowing into this with the World Cup. Again, the world is focused on North America, on Central America, Canada. Shout out to North American brethren up there. And there's a lot going on. It's really weird to me. And then the 4th of July, of course, the big 250. And look, they're out here flying helicopters around. They're probably doing it in DC and every major city in the country. They're sniffing out nuke signatures. They're kind of looking for real bad juju activity out there, trying to cut it off at the pass if they can catch some of this stuff that's in the national security mind's eye. So I don't know, tons of stuff in this space, but it's wild to me that 30 years ago tomorrow, Independence Day comes out. Saturday is the 250th Independence Day. It's the most supercharged. And like I said, in the modern mind's eye, Will Smith was that idea, not just the Steven Spielberg effect of the early 80s and Close Encounters and then now the latest Disclosure movie, but Will Smith definitely was one of the major catalysts of a massive blockbuster summer movie that released tomorrow, 30 years ago. I mean, all of these things just kind of floating in, and I don't know, like how do you actually account for all of the synchronicities becomes the problem here, because I don't know the answer, but I do know that the more you look into this, the more you just keep seeing them. And there's a ton that I probably haven't even mentioned. And there's a ton that we haven't even got to, because there's just so much information flowing through that I don't know what to do with it. And, you can't even talk about it directly other than kind of listing a bunch of stuff and trying to put the pieces together. But then what do you have? I mean, you got a ton of information, but how do you synthesize it? How do you turn it into a coherent conversation? It's really, really hard. And that becomes part of the problem when you do it like this, when you do it live and you talk about these ideas, is where do you go with it? I mean, other than what do you believe here? And how weird is this? And do you feel this? I don't know. Do you feel different? That becomes really, I guess, the question when we talked about the dream realm and the summer solstice, and are you dreaming differently? And I saw this other thread that was highly fascinating on X yesterday. I think I posted it in the Discord, and somebody said, just some person on Twitter X, they said, if you haven't been keeping a dream journal, now that they've shut off CERN, you should start. Almost as if it was in some way disrupting the dream realm, the collider, I mean, look, I don't know. We can get into that too, but just the idea conceptually, but it's weird. All this is weird. What do you know about Contact Day, the ritual convergence, and all the rest? Anything to add to that, James? And does the dream thing strike you as weird with CERN? And maybe it was like a signal to noise thing, and it's kind of disrupting the dream realm in some capacity. I don't know. Does any of that make sense?
I mean, energy is everywhere and always changing and being manipulated by all kinds of things. So, and we are made of and use energy and all these things. And the whole sleep dream realm is that nexus to so many things, I think. We talked about before. And I do think one of those other things can be, as I've experienced, and other people have as well, alternate realities. And I wonder, how much of this that we're talking about here, that misremembering is actual misremembering, like we mentioned earlier, and how much is remembering things, but not from, again, this universe, but some other version of it. But happy to sit in with you as always, if that's okay.
Glad to have you. I appreciate you very much. You know him, you love him. Of course, that's James of Salcedo Paranormal, the paranormal expert of troubled minds. Check out his website. Check out his books. Go buy his books and support him in all the ways. Check out the podcast. That's Salcedo Paranormal, SALSIDO paranormal.com. Links, of course, are in the description, and troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. It's all alphabetical, and please go give James a follow. We're right there. Click it. He's got a link tree with all the stuff. Yeah, look, I don't know. It feels as if this is the culmination this weekend of this entire arc we've been talking about, not just date wise, but then also a bunch of things I didn't know. This World UFO Day falling on today, sort of the day that the culmination event is happening here. And then beyond that, all this other stuff that I didn't even really, hadn't hit the radar until just recently, was I didn't recognize that it was the 30th anniversary of Independence Day coming up tomorrow. And so this is, if you guys remember that actual movie, when it released, they released it on the 3rd, and it was kind of doing that weird, sort of overlap. If you went and saw it in the theater, like it's like midnight and the day turns in the movie, and then the day turns in real life to the 4th after the alien invasion on the 3rd. It was a weird sort of reality spacing how they released it. If you saw it on the first night, I didn't, but I had a friend that did. Who was describing it to me. Anyway, what do you know about this? What is this Convergence event? Do you think there is something happening here? And what about ritual magic? And do you think these things are more planned than we'd ever believe? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way. We got nobody on the line if you guys want to jump in here. More from James coming up and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
Machine went quiet on a Sunday night. 4 years of silence, nothing left to find. Nobody told us when the door would close. Nobody told us where the water goes. Same date they found the particles, same date the fireworks start. Same date somebody's asking what broken where. Disclosure of what? Disclosure of what? The bear had a different name and nobody remembers when it changed. Disclosure of what? Disclosure of what? The fireworks answer nothing. They never had. 30 years since the ship came down on the screen. 250 years since we signed the dream. The calendar keeps coming back around. Same week, same door, same quiet sound. Disclosure of what? Disclosure of what?
Hello, friends. What's going on? Herschel, Matzow. What's up, Gaston, JJ, Daryl? What's up, Karen, Rocks, Joe in Florida coming up next. We got Sacha. I can't remember the name there. You got those squiggles. What's up, the Robert, Joey? And who is that? I don't recognize the avatar. What's up? Hope everybody's well tonight. Just hanging out, doing stuff. Channel 6 News. I see you there. I see you there. I saw your name in the chat. I'll circle back and say hi. What's up over on Rumble? Good evening, friends. We got Hiker was first over there along with Nostradamus. We've got Merlin. Good evening. Oh my goodness. Why is it scrolling so weirdly and slow? James is over there. Good evening, guys. I'll circle back and say hi as we go tonight. Puff, the Puff sighting. Merlin, what's up? Salty Squiggly. You guys are the best. Okay, here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. More from James, Joe in Florida, and your calls as well. What do you know about this weird ritual convergence? Here we go. welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. CERN went dark on Sunday. Tomorrow, ID4 turns 30. Saturday, America turns 250. The same date CERN announced the Higgs boson in 2012. Yeah, that would be the God particle. Today is also World UFO Day, the real one. Founded 2001, built around one demand: open the files. Now, of course, when you say open the files, some people think about another set of files, which we don't have to get into. I think it's very obvious what I'm describing here. But transparency is certainly not something that we should get used to because, well, has it ever arrived? We're talking Contact Day is what I'm calling this. The ritual convergence. Do you sense it? Do you feel it? Is there something in the air here that, well, feels off or feels right or somewhere in between? What do you know about it? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Anything to add, James? And we will go to Joe in Florida. Welcome back.
Oh, just it's amazing when I think about that first Independence Day movie. I mean, I was a kid then, and a teenager actually, and so it was amazing to me. But the thing that really sticks out too about that is, of course, I'm not ruining anything here. Really, it's a movie about an alien invasion. And what's been one of the two major narratives in recent years? It's either all aliens are good or everything is demons. Alien invasion, seems like. At least as far as what certain people want us to think about. And so, yeah, that 30-year anniversary is quite the interesting bit of timing there.
Exactly. Another stack of interesting timing. At some point, it just becomes too much. You're like, stop it. Would you stop just giving us the softball alley-oops to slam dunk a new synchronicity, because it's just becoming way too easy. And I think, like I said, when that happens, it's definitely a synchronicity storm. But what does it mean? Especially when it's so obvious that we can all see it, and it's a quick fact check, and it's not a personal experience. It's something we all experience. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Joe in Florida. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you? Go right ahead.
I'm okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
So I didn't give it much thought, but synchronicities, I know I've had them. I remember 2012 because we all remember it, but I had a Mayan, I had like a planner. I think I put it on the show before it, and I still have the planner somewhere, and it was called Doomsday, the Doomsday Planner. And it was all Mayan, kind of tongue-in-cheek jokes, but more recently, yeah, we feel like we're converging. There's an anxiety. There's an anxiety throughout the world now more than ever, I think. Whether it's me remembering skirmishes in the Middle East since the 80s and before, 90s, always something. It seems like things die down and then they get worse. But when they get worse, it's at a new level. So it's like they're slowly ramping up the anxiety meter, if that makes sense. And social media is a big part of that. You know, convergence, I've said it before, I start to wonder, and Robert would be maybe good if I think he's listening in, but about like we are on a stage and we're kind of entertaining. I think Robert has said that before. But I look at the Tower of Babel, I've said it, the Tower of Babel, focal point. We tried to reach God and we got knocked down, supposedly. Then you have the flood, you could take it like whatever, but a thought popped in my head just now when you mentioned CERN shutting down. And I think about the Ark, if the Ark existed, and if the Ark was some kind of a radio. And it's debated back and forth if the Ark has been found or not been found, or there's more than one Ark or whatever. But then when you talk about the God particle and things like that, what happens if CERN was being used to, we all think it's being used to open something, but what happens if it was being used to talk to God or to open something? And Derek might say, the gods of Lovecraft might come through, which I think might be more entertaining than being butt-proof by aliens. But I don't know. I can tell you this, like, as far as coincidences and synchronicities and things, I've been trying to be more positive in my own personal. I've said it on the show July 1st, yesterday, or the day before, whatever, yesterday. A law passed in Florida based on my complaint and a few others, similar ones. And I'm going to wait till this investigation's totally over. And I wake up every day thinking, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. And I've never done that. And I just have to find a lawyer in the private, sector to subpoena an investigator and get something maybe rolling in my side. We'll see. But on that same note this morning, when I got up thinking positive, I get in the car and I'm driving, and of course I get behind the slowpoke. And I usually come unglued, and I literally said to myself, if there's some other trickster god watching, I'm not going to give it my power. And I just kind of took a breath, and I kept driving to work, no problem. Same thing at work. It's a funny thing. The funeral god at work, the phones could be dead. Without a doubt, when you're the only one in that funeral home, if you've got to use the restroom, you could bet you're shaking your thing on the way out the door to get that phone, because that phone starts to ring. And you're like, are you kidding me? Or somebody walks in the door. It's almost without fail. And, is that me putting it out there? Like, it becomes a habit. So, like, I'm saying, oh, it's quiet. I'm going to go use the restroom, but watch the phone ring. So I say that in my head, watch the phone ring, and guess what happens? The phone rings. So am I doing that? Or is it programmed? Is the God that's watching us so much of a sick voyeur that he's watching everybody go pee? I mean, it's one of those things. And then at the same time, too, in my business, I've been saying no gods, no masters, but I've got that Anubis Stargate helmet. And lately, the business, from a personal standpoint, has been very good to me, being in the funeral business. And these last couple of weeks, I've been wanting to go out to where I work, just go out to the club or something, but I want to wear the costume. I want to wear the helmet to show tribute, because I appreciate what I do. So even though I say no gods, no masters, you have Anubis. If I'm going to believe in anything, I might believe in something that kind of walks the line between life and death, but try to live an honest life and have that honesty returned to me in some kind of synchronicity, some kind of friendship, some kind of things. I'm kind of rambling, but as far as CERN, it is kind of weird that they're closing it. And maybe they aren't closing it. Maybe they're saying they're closing it, and maybe they're not. I started noticing more patterns with 33. Once you see those things, there's a lot of things that pop up once you really start looking. More things I think that we've all noticed. And the crescendo of distraction, focus, cry wolf, psyop, every other Friday, and it's always on a Friday to protect the market. There's always some news on a Friday, whether it's disclosure, not disclosure. The scientists, have you noticed that nobody talks about the scientists that have gone missing anymore? I haven't seen that in the news, unless I'm wrong.
I saw one update today, just real quick on that. I saw one update today, and it was, I think they found one of them. I just caught a headline in passing. I was putting the show together, this show, so I couldn't investigate, but I did see one new headline regarding it, and I don't know if they found one of them, one of the missing ones, or what. I'll see if I can dig it up in a minute here. But I did see the single headline. But you're right. Basically, people have stopped talking about it as usual because that Friday dumping day aspect of just washing out what was in our mind's eye yesterday to a whole new narrative today. It's been the thing that we've always had our eye on the ball here at Troubled Minds since the very beginning. It's hey, come on now. Like, how much of this narrative stuff is ours? How much of this are we supposed to believe in, and how much of this is just them, kind of concocting nonsense stories to make us forget about the embarrassing stuff that happened last week? It
is totally ridiculous. And I wonder, for any of the listeners out there, like on a side note, I am bored with entertainment. Like I look at TV or I try to find the movie. Nothing entertains me. In fact, I went through the last 2 years of movies on my illegal box, 1,800 movies. It seemed like most of them were horror, body horror movies, very little comedies. I'm like, I don't want to see a horror movie. I could see that when I got to embalm somebody or do something. I could see real life sometimes. It's like, but that's what they're feeding us, right? So that's what they're feeding us. That's what we watch, right? Disclosure Day, soccer, sports. I play sports. Don't get me wrong. I play sports, but I really don't watch them anymore. Because I do feel like it is constant indoctrination, but you might as well, whatever, you get the point. It's not that I'm scared of watching it, I'm just like, this is foolish. This is just, why am I wasting my time? Yeah. So anyway, that's my little bit. I didn't write any notes. It is an interesting topic. The last thing, maybe, CERN opened up a portal, and a lot of our best minds went through it, i.e. missing scientists. Maybe it is true that MH370 did go missing into a portal. I doubt it. I don't know. But it's funny to think about that. Maybe it did go to an alternative universe like Fringe. If anybody watched that TV show Fringe, which really is pretty good. Who knows? Who knows if they're preparing not a bunker, if they're literally preparing if they're able to get into a different parallel universe, if they're able to search that out, find the parallel universe, and the richest people we got are able to just jump ship and get out, and the rest of us are here holding the burned core of this planet. Anyhow, whatever. Have a good night.
Hey, that's going to be a T-shirt. Indoctrination. You're the best. Appreciate the call.
So you know what? Here's the other T-shirt I want to make. People come in to buy pre-arrangements for me for the funeral home. Sometimes they don't want to do it because they're stubborn. And I'm not a pushy sales guy. I'm a funeral director first. Sometimes people want to come in, you want to help them. But the saying in the industry goes, "You're going to die, and you're going to buy." And I feel like putting that on a T-shirt.
Hang them up. You might sell some, or just wear it.
I'm going to do it on that flag meme. Those two people that were in the Empire State Building. I'm going to advertise. You're going to die and you're going to buy. Get my pre-need.
There you go. There you go. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you very much. Happy Independence Day to you when you get there. Be safe from here to there. I don't know what the fireworks situation is like in Florida, but don't blow your hands off, as they say.
Here's the thing, man. I'm gonna rain in the parade. I have bought fireworks every year since I was a kid. If I could post the videos of me like my truck caught fire, I have videos of the aftermath. But for the last 2 years, I have not gotten fireworks. And as somebody that has written a paper on unions, a history major, political science minor, I might be going out tomorrow night to do a little bit of dancing just to keep my friends company. My wife and some friends are going out. But on Saturday, that is meaningless to me because we have another Independence Day to go out for. We'll see if we're independent when the next election of trash comes up. That's when we'll know if we're truly independent.
when the next trash tide rolls in. Yeah, I feel you 100%.
Yeah, when the next trash cycle comes in, because clearly we don't have our best. That's a whole other conversation. Now you're going to get me on a little bit of a tangent. Thank you. But, we all work everybody here has worked in a business, right? And they look at their bosses, and some people are just there to chase the title. And it's more clear than ever that the people we have working for us now are just there to chase the title and the money, And I'm very close to writing a paper on why Florida should secede from the rest of the nation. So
when you do,
should be something we should secede and have a different species or a different currency. And anyway, but there's a way for Florida to do this with solar energy. I've already had it mapped out. And the only reason why I'm doing it is because I know it's impossible. But in a world of crazy, you have to throw something else impossible out there. So anyway, good night.
Have a great one. Appreciate the call. I love it. We'll fight your crazy with our own crazy. Joe in Florida, you know me, love him, good friend for a long time. Had a fantastic call. Look, this is the point. Let's talk to each other about these ideas. What's happening out there, and what about this ritual convergence I'm talking about? Look, I'm calling this Contact Day, not because I think the UFOs are going to land. I think there's a convergence of this ritual energy that's happening in this moment, as I've been making the case for several weeks now. Like I said, when we go back and do the postmortem on this, shout out Joe, it's going to be pretty epic because we're ahead of the game in a lot of things here and spotting a lot of things that have not been put together as part of the larger context. So that's what it's all about. Love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-857-6939. What do you believe about synchronicities, and what do you know about this ritual convergence? Let's go to Matthew in California. Matzal, what's up, brother? Temple of the Eye, you're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you? Go right ahead. We got about 9.5 minutes, and then you're welcome to stay after the break if you've got more.
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You sound fantastic.
Awesome, cool. Good show, good write-up. Lots of stuff here. I think we have to ask ourselves the question, when does it stop becoming silly synchronicities and coincidences, and when does it start becoming patterns that we're seeing?
Yeah, well said. And not only that, what do these patterns mean? Because I mean, it's simple to spot sort of the mythological patterns. I think we've been doing this a lot together. But in this larger context of this ritual convergence of not just mass media, but then how all of the calendar comes together in the same space, it's weird. There's certainly a pattern here, and it is, tracing back to 2012. It's tracing back to Independence Day in 1996. And again, the 250th ceiling and CERN shutting down. I mean, there's just so many things in play here that kind of make you go, wait a minute now. So what the hell is this pattern? Really becomes the larger question, huh?
Yeah, we're good at that, figuring these patterns. But I was going to go back, kind of going back to the last episode, talk about the old gods and the Bactunes and stuff. But I think, the ancients, they were looking up at the sky and they were mapping out the stars. They built these huge monolithic structures like pyramids, Stonehenge, things like this. They built these things called ziggurats, the flat pyramids, the step pyramids. They're all over the world. And I think they built them. The priests and the priestesses would climb the steps. And I'm thinking back at ancient times. Stars, they would, predict what was going to happen next. Like reading the stars, reading the cosmos, seeing what was going to happen. And I think it goes all the way back to then. When we talk about the long count calendar and the Bactunes, I think, as humans, we're only counting years, hundreds of years as a human. We can go back a few thousand years, maybe. I think the ancients, they were counting the long calendars. I think they did it because they were counting ages. And we talk about all the time, the age of Aquarius. When's that going to come? I think this might be where this might be coming from. But going back to old, this is all Zacharias Tension, ancient alien theory, talking about the Bactunes, the old times, and talking about the god Hermes. We were talking about last week, a couple days ago, and Hermes, they called him Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great, and I feel like, if he was a god, and gods can live thousands of years. I think that the reason they called him that is because not only was he thrice born, but I feel like he, reincarnated and come back. But I feel like he was in 3 different ages. So he lived through the age of Taurus, the age of Pisces. The age of Taurus, the age of Aries, the ram, and then into the age of Pisces. And then here we are supposedly going to the age of Aquarius. I think these long-term, these Bactunes were to count the ages. And it's crazy to see how this one god had transformed through these ages and lived through all of them. And to see how he built these things. He helped build, these ancient pyramids, these ancient ziggurats. And he helped build things like Stonehenge in the next ages. And then when the Greeks adapted him again, That's why they called him Hermes, the thrice great, because he had lived through 3 ages. And I'm wondering if these ages, we talk about the age of Aquarius, and when is that going to come? In these books, they talk about the ages as the ages turn, or as the ages happen. When they happen, all this crazy stuff starts happening: wars, floods, crazy things in the sky, asteroids and meteors. And I'm looking at the media now, the zeitgeist, and seeing what are we seeing? Crazy things in the sky, meteors happening. We're seeing cataclysmic things happening. We have wars going on. What if this is it? What if this is the age coming into the age of Aquarius? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it feels to me like there is some sort of turning, like I'm describing tonight. I really feel that this ritual convergence is happening. And what's the old saying? The JP Morgan is that millionaires don't need astrology, but billionaires certainly do. And in this particular case, it feels planned. It feels like a lot of this stuff is certainly manufactured and even released on these particular moments or days, or when the sun is just so in the sky, to release products or to release movies or to again turn these ideas into the zeitgeist space that we basically inhabit and live with on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, I think it feels to me like this might be sort of that turning. And of course with AI, and look, I've mostly left AI out of this conversation, but it is one of the biggest sort of ritual turnings or changes of humanity's ever seen. So yeah, I mean, I buy it. I think maybe the age of Aquarius has arrived, and the turning is maybe this ritual weekend right now. We're maybe living it, maybe seeing it.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before, like Walt Disney putting out movies to astrology. I think there is something to it. I think there's a lot of stuff happening. My prediction and my hopes are that nothing bad happens. I do feel there's a change, but I hope that the change that we can overcome and make it better. If systems are going to break, let's break them down and make them better. But any of the changes that come, I don't want anything bad to happen, but I feel like there is something building. There is something that's going to change. And it could be something, I don't want to say bad, but like something like a 9/11 or some sort of maybe Project Bluebeam that could happen. And we have to be prepared for it, whatever it is. And looking at all the angles, looking at all the ideas. And that's why I love the show, because we're looking at things differently. But we got to be prepared for it. And how do we prepare for something we don't know what's going to happen? I hope nothing happens, but that's my prediction. Something might happen, but like you said, it might be not on the 4th of July, but the next day, the 5th of July. When we all wake up, are we going to notice something different? That's all I got for tonight, man.
It's a hell of a question. It's a hell of a question. And I don't know the answer, obviously, but I'm definitely here for it. I have been having weird dreams. You got a quick take on that, the dream CERN thing? You think that maybe there's, we should start dream journaling because maybe there's a more clear signal to the dream path in that space?
I always recommend dream journaling if you can. I personally haven't been having crazy dreams. I have been remembering my dreams a little bit. But I'm glad to hear that from you, man. I know you don't remember your dreams, so it's good to hear that from you, that you're remembering your dreams. So yeah, I think there is something there with the CERN shut down, and maybe the dreamers are able to dream again. That's pretty crazy theory. That's a whole show right there.
Yeah, but we will do it. We will do that, by the way.
Yeah, I do recommend keeping a dream journal to keep your dreams. I haven't personally noticed anything, but it is important to keep track of that. And like I said, I'll talk to you on the 5th.
Amen. I'll be here. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you very much. Tell Lacey we said hi. You guys be safe out there. It's going to be a crazy weekend, and you let me know if you need anything. You're the best.
Hi, bro. Thank you.
Thank you. You know we love him. Matthew in California. The templeoftheowl.com. Simple as that. templeoftheowl.com. Go check out his podcast. Go check out all the things he's working on. And this is what this is about. This is about talking to each other. This is wild. That's a fantastic call. We are blessed to have such smart people. Thank you to Joe and to Matthew for the calls tonight. And James, anything to add? We got, as you know, we're just about out of time. If you got anything to add, we'll plug you in at the top of the hour. We got Matthew in Colorado coming up next. But so much in play here. So many things to really consider and talk about. And I don't know the answers. I just don't. Like I said, it's not a troubled mind, and I don't give you a 20-minute rant on what's coming next because I don't know what's coming next. But I do feel like we're living in some space where the tide is turning. Things are changing. What does it mean? Certainly I'm getting old. There's no doubt about that. But I'm also having a clarity of mind that I've never achieved. Do you feel it? Do you see it? Love to hear your thoughts tonight. I'm calling this Contact Day, the Ritual Convergence. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Let's check the news. A California man has pleaded guilty to federal felony charges after sending a fake ransom note to the family of Nancy Guthrie, the missing 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Derek Colella, 42, of Hawthorne, admitted to texting Guthrie's daughter and son-in-law asking about a Bitcoin transfer, a message sent just minutes before placing a brief call to another family member. Colella's sentencing is scheduled for September 10th, while Nancy Guthrie herself remains missing with no known suspects and no confirmed leads, now 5 months after her disappearance. Turning to archaeology, a tiny stamp seal unearthed at an ancient settlement in Israel is raising significant questions about trade, culture, and craftsmanship in the ancient Near East. The roughly 2,700-year-old artifact, identified by a Tel Aviv University archaeologist and colleagues, was carved from mother of pearl, a material so brittle that researchers say engraving it with Iron Age tools should have been nearly impossible. The pearl oyster shell is native to the Red Sea and Persian Gulf, suggesting the raw material traveled hundreds of miles to reach the site, likely carried by one of the many families displaced during the Assyrian conquest of the Kingdom of Israel in the late 8th century BCE. And finally, new research suggests that gray hair may not be the permanent condition we've long assumed it to be. Spanish physicians first noticed the phenomenon when lung cancer patients undergoing immunotherapy treatments began regaining natural hair pigmentation as part of their recovery. Scientists believe these drugs work by reactivating stem cells responsible for melanin production, effectively rebooting a pigmentation process that stress, aging, and genetics had shut down. Researchers at the University of Alabama are now working to isolate that effect for hair pigment specifically, though human trials remain months away at minimum. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. Maybe I won't have gray hair forever. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. Just doing Troubled Minds stuff. To go over to YouTube. Sorry about that. I left you guys out and ran out of time in that first break. What's up, James Got First over there? Akashik, how you doing? I see all the chat. You guys are great. What's up, GR Hutch? Race, good evening. Race Lever. He's all, you never say my last name, Mike. Race Lever. Is it Lever? Is it Lever? Lever? Race? Lever? Lever? There you go. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. What's going on? I hope you guys are doing well tonight. Just hanging out, doing Troubled Mind stuff. Thanks for all the great chat. I see you there, MJ. Says no 4th of July in Virginia got canceled. That sounds like a drag. What's up, Jen? How you doing? Says it's popping off in Missouri, just loud booms. I haven't seen any of the pretty starbursts. It just sounds like mortar. So that's nice, of course. Yes, indeed. Like I said, I think we're going to have 3 days of fireworks. Probably tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday night. Strap in. And what's up, Akashik says, I like this particular song, the AI song. What's up, Russell? Great chat in there. I'm reading all the stuff you're putting in the chat. Appreciate that very much. What's up, Michigander says, unusual lights in the sky, no boom booms. No boom booms. At least not here. What's up, Stephen England? How are you? Good evening, Ross Soul. Like I said, hello. If I missed anybody, just say hi and I'll say hi back. Doing my best to keep up and keep this a community family show. What's up, Herschel? Matt Sal, thanks for the call. Gaston, JJ, what's up? Daryl, Chef Pete, that's Karen Rocks. It is Joe in Florida. Thanks for the call. APOC, Satya, the Robert and Joey Don't Panic from X. What is up? Let's see. Who am I seeing here? I missed you. Good evening, guys. Hello. What's up? Ioxy is here. What is up? The Robert says, if indeed we are in the age of Aquarius, therefore my being an Aquarian means the age must entirely benefit me. Yeah. Hell yeah. Thank you for the kind and generous donation over there on Rumble. Good day, Miss Karen from Knights of the Storm. What's up, Sweets? The other glue of the show. Thanks for all the posts. Like I said, I put up the post and then the first write-up, and then by the time I finish all the stuff I'm doing, like Sweets has literally put up like 10 different stuff. Like she's beating me to it. I appreciate that very much. The help really means a lot because I contrary to popular belief, I don't have tentacles. I only have 2 arms. Nostradamus, what's up, Karen? I see you there. What's up, Salty Squiggy? Good evening, guys. If I missed anybody, sorry about that hiker emoji. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. Love to hear your thoughts. I think we had Matthew in Colorado that was here, then not here. Maybe we'll get him on. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts. Nobody on the phone line if you want to jump in. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting and, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we talk about Contact Day, this ritual convergence, not just the 30th anniversary of Independence Day, the movie, right? Intertwined forever with the holiday, the 4th of July or Independence Day, but also the 250th Independence Day. Oh, did I mention today is also World UFO Day? Oh, did I also mention all the other things that I've been talking about tonight? CERN, in particular, just recently shut down, connects back to 2012, and then the Nick Hinton bizarre timeline thing of the world ended in 2012. I mean, look, there's, like I said, just from a normie, I wouldn't call this normie conspiracy. This is like deep, heavy breathing, like weirdo conspiracy, and that's fine. But kind of in the first couple steps of this, it's like, damn, there's a lot here. But now track all the stuff we've been talking about for the last several weeks, and there's not a lot here. There is a deluge of information. It is a flood, and a flood in the mind space means what? Maybe, as the Robert said, thank you again, the age of Aquarius. If indeed we are in the age of Aquarius, therefore my being an Aquarian means the age must entirely benefit me. Manifest it, brother. Manifest it. Thank you for the donation on Rumble. James, anything to add there? There's so much in play as part of this, and I don't know, like everything I see out there, like maybe my pattern recognition is too keen. Maybe I'm in overdrive and I need to slow down. But it feels to me like there is some sort of convergence happening in this moment, and I don't know what to do with it. Welcome back. How you feeling, my man? And what else you got for us? There's a lot in play here.
You know, Mike, I hate to tell you this, but everything we're talking about here is BS. No, I'm kidding.
It might be. It might be.
Could be. I have another synchronicity to add here to all this, funny enough. And it's in a realm that we talk about sometimes. Derek, if he's listening at all, might know about this already too. There has been in recent years a sequel to the 90s X-Men cartoon series. Recently, it's called X-Men 97. Funny enough, and the second season of it just came out. The episode started coming out. I think it was yesterday, July 1st. And what's amazing about this is it involves someone I talked about on the show before, Apocalypse. Now, what reminded me of that is Matt's House call. Great calls from Matt's House and Joe, and Matt's House talking about Hermes, this being that lived through different ages in time. And the main villain, apparently, in this 90s, 90s inspired now, cartoon series is Apocalypse, who is this mutant that was born in ancient Egypt. And he's been around for thousands of years, literally, through transferring his consciousness from body to body. And he's basically this main villain in the cartoon series. But what makes me connect this to all this is if I think of a less comic book, less dramatic version of, and maybe less villain, less extreme version of that character, of that apocalypse character, which again, the apocalypse, elevation, all these different things. It seems like it could almost be one of these entities, considered deities in some places, that they talk about, again, through Ancient Aliens, through whatever else. And it makes me wonder, that series just like literally dropping yesterday, that the first episodes of it also involves the X-Men being scattered throughout time, funny enough. So just another synchronicity to add to all this as well.
Yeah, like I said, it just keeps stacking. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know what to do with it. It certainly seems like there's something happening here. And I don't know, I think certainly, like I said, with the AI space as well, we're at a turning. We're at sort of an evolutionary turning in terms of who we're going to become, that transhumanist future we're always talking about. And that's the part that's a little bit alarming, because it's entirely unclear who we're supposed to trust. I mean, we got all these, billionaire and a trillionaire now, billionaire/trillionaire weirdos that are like, oh yeah, just plug the thing into your brain, it'll be fine. And it's like, I mean, no, thank you. Double no, thank you. Matter of fact, I'm so not into that, I'm going to go into hiding if that becomes a mandatory thing. Look, I'm not interested. I don't want to do that. But you get the meaning. We're in this space where information is supposed to be really become democratized, and that everybody can participate in this new global economy with AI systems. And instead, Anthropic is like, oh, by the way, it's dangerous. It's like having a nuke in your back pocket. And then so the government's like, oh, God, stop. We can't do that. And then they start shutting it down. And now it's going to be rules for thee and not for me, as usual. And they're going to have access to it. Companies, powerful companies, they cherry pick. Governments of the world, of course, who they allow into the space, the European Union or whoever, whatever allies. But then the regular person with the idea of a democratized intelligence is going to be left behind once again. We find these stupid patterns where we're like, well, it's too dangerous for you guys, but it's not too dangerous for us. So which is it? There's my little AI rant on what's been going on. But we are in this turning space where things are going to change incredibly and quickly. And I don't know who to trust, to be perfectly honest. I see their faces on the, the pictures in the press and them on videos and podcasts and stuff. And I don't trust any of these people. And so I don't know what to do with it. So I don't know. How you feeling in that space, James? That's a little weird, the synchronicity stacking. But then, of course, the AI, the Rocco's basilisk, rears its ugly head once again.
Well, and AI and just technology in general, you know who else it's leaving behind in a lot of cases, and I mentioned this here and there, is anyone with a physical disability. Those wonderful digital coupons that stores have nowadays? They seem so great, and they probably are, if you can use them, if you can manage to see what's going on a cell phone and click all the right things in all the right places to do that. And that's just one example. Like I can't use those. But yeah, so I do think there's, and this does fit in with everything I was just talking about, where, there's these godlike characters, godlike entities, possibly, whether they're seen or unseen, whether they're, again, manipulating everything, causing all these synchronicities from some other energetic level of reality, whether you want to call it spiritual or not, is that what's behind everything? And I mean, are there more than one, or is there just one? Or if there's more than one, then is one a trickster? I don't know. But the other thing that's fascinating about all this to me as well is the idea of dates and calendars, because there's not one universal calendar for all of humankind for all of time. So for these things to be landing on these certain days in these certain calendars is almost on another level of synchronicity as well. Yeah,
like stacked in a cosmic way, and that's what I mean. Some of these things you cannot plan. I mean, you can go, summer, and then all these days sort of stack up, and they've been stacked up. That's part of that pattern recognition that Matt's was talking about, that you were talking about. But also, there's a ton of this stuff that like could you have planned the 30th anniversary of Independence Day? I don't think so, right? That takes quite a long way of planning to even make any of this possible. It's incredible to me, and that's why I'm saying, like, when it comes down to this stuff, what do you believe? And do you think that this larger synchronicity storm that's happening in the zeitgeist means something, or is it just going to pass us by? The dust is going to settle, and we're going to go right back to where we started, and there's going to be no change whatsoever. Meet the old gods. Sorry, meet the new gods the same as the old gods. Shout out Derek. I don't know, and I hope not. And small g gods. I'm not, again, trying to be blasphemous here. Just that the rulers of the world are still making the same stupid rules in regard to AI as I'm describing, and will continue to. So, are we equals in this space, or are we not? That's it. James, by the way, just to solve your problem with the coupons, just plug the Neuralink into your brain. Everything will be just fine.
But no, it's funny too with all this. At this point, we've all heard of sort of things happening in certain ways where there were predictions about like certain events that were going to happen because of all these other events happening before that. And in either direction, either in the direction of doom or in the direction of everything is going to be fixed or worked out by this point in time. And it doesn't seem like either of those ever happens. So I will, I'm not really convinced that anything is going to happen with all this. But obviously we'll wait and see what happens. That's all we can do, at least on that scale anyway.
Amen. Shout out Ioxy in the chat says, you can find the same synchronicities getting a pizza if you look for it. Maybe. I like the comment. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. I'm calling this Contact Day, the ritual convergence, not just of the 250th 4th of July, America, but also all of this UFO Day, the World UFO Day. So the reason why today is, by the way, World UFO Day is supposedly this was the day of the Roswell crash back in 1947. Okay. And it was reported a few days later in the press. July 6th and 7th are the days I think it hit the newspapers and kind of did the press dust up. But today was supposedly the crash day. And this is why today is World UFO Day. So stack that on to all the rest of this stuff. And, welcome to 2026. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let's hear what you have to say. What do you think about this? What do you believe? And do you think there is a ritual convergence happening and maybe a turning of the page in terms of an actual age or the dawning of the age of Aquarius? I don't know. I'm a water sign, so, have good thoughts for me, us Pisces types. Matthew in Colorado, just hit the thing, accept the thing, and then pop on up in here, and then we'll adjust the volume as necessary. You're on Troubled Minds as soon as you click the button. 702-857-6939. The phone line is up. The phone line's working. It is the one I vibe coded because, yeah, hell yeah. Let's go to Matthew in Colorado. What's up, brother?
Hey, buddy. I think I got it fixed. I got my speaker shut down. Can you hear me?
Yes. You are coming through, and you sound good. Welcome to the joint. What is on your mind tonight? There's a lot in play here, and what about a ritual convergence? Real or nah?
Well, let's go to that second, if we can. I got a couple things on synchronicity, which I didn't get a chance to tap into like last night. Covered some good stuff on dreaming. Part of that was on purpose because your question, a lot of people know that I'm the dreaming guy, and it was a good question. I got that name. But I covered the foundation, and I think that'll serve in the future. First of all, for people that don't know me, and I covered the basics. I won't have to explain anything in the future. People, got a little background. But I also brought it up, as you know, and got around when you steered me back to, okay, what's the relate here? The previous caller, James, and myself, I think there's some serious stuff happening dreaming. So, that was all good. But I did have some comments on synchronicity. And the short version is this. Dig this. Talk about synchronicity. I had one of the most bizarre, intense, unexplainable synchronicities that day, earlier in the afternoon. And then I get on your show, and the subject includes synchronicity. I'm like, no, wait, it's a synchronicity about synchronicities? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're just stacking them. Like they're just flowing. Like I said, the deluge of the mind is in play right now. Absolutely right.
One leads to the next. They're nested. They trigger each other. It's like, wow, integrated neural networks of synchronicities with codependencies. What the hell's going on here? Your brain can't keep up, and it can't figure them out. Now, so I want to tell my first synchronicity that happened, and it's a short story, and I can do it briefly. Okay, so I'm up here in the mountains, in the cave and my coaxial cable, right? So I'm back where I was a couple of years ago. Now I'm camped out at a guy's property where I got permission to, and there's I'm in a camp trailer, and there's a lot. I got power, and so, anyways, I met the guy 7 years ago. We had a really cool connection. Talk about synchronicities right from the get. Ended up sitting next to each other at the lodge. Got to know each other. He was up for 3 or 4 days. Hadn't been up to his property in 10 years. Had a place up here for 10 years before that. Only had been up, one time. Built an RV pad, put in power, used it once. He lives in SoCal, right? So we end up at the bar. He starts telling me this bizarre story, and I'm like, this is a trippy dude. Well, it turns out he was a multi-millionaire, genius guy, had patents, hugely successful business, inadvertently got over the 50% line, hostile takeover, lawsuit, lost it all. So he was rebuilding. He had a wild story. He was taking this cross-country trip, started this news story, chapter in business. We hit it off. He's like, oh, man, I told him a bit about myself. He asked, he's like, man, I could use a guy like you with my business. You could work for me. You could telecommute, and you can work from there, and I'll be in SoCal. And I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it. He's like, you got time tomorrow? I'm only here for like 2 days. I'm like, yeah, come up to a place, gave him the address. He came up. He was like, oh, interesting. My house, my lot is just down the street from your house, and I know right where you're talking about. So we meet up. We spent 2 hours together, hit it off, decided to work together, okay? And then I end up selling the place a couple years later, right? And my mom and I are doing the camper thing. We're doing winters in Havasu. We're getting the heck out of the heat and doing summers in Colorado. I call him up, and at first I'm still working for him. I'm like, hey, man, your lot, can I park my camper up there? We're going to Colorado. He's like, sure, no problem. I was like, is the power on? He's like, no, I'll turn it on for you, buddy. I got it. And I was like, okay, cool, man. So I got a place to hook up. I end up calling him up the next year. Hey, man, we're headed back up there. Can I stay at your lot? Yep. Is the power on? Yep, I left it on for you. You're good to go. Boom, I stay. Next year, I try calling him. Can't get a hold of him. I'm like, well, if I go up there and the power's on, we're good. Yeah, I got permission. That happened for 2 years. Now we're on like 7 years since I've seen him. I have to move out of where I'm at. I come up here. I'm sitting around the afternoon. When did we talk? 2 days ago when I called in?
Yes, 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago, I'm sitting outside the camper. Guess who rolls up that I haven't seen in 7 years?
Boom.
The lot owner. I'm like, no way. What are you doing here? I had just gotten up here 5 days before. He just so happened to make in another cross-country trip, was only in town for the night, brought up his wife, who I knew from working with him, never met her, to look around the lot. She had never seen it. And we hung out, did a lot tour for a half hour, and he was just like, Matt, we got some kind of spooky connection. We both knew that 7 years ago, and you did a lot of great work for me, and I'm thankful. And I got to tell you, you came into my life at a time that I needed you to change my life, and I know you weren't in a good place and we're good for each other. And he's like, I can't leave out of here, even though I'm leaving tomorrow, without spending some more. You got time to hang tomorrow? I wouldn't for the world. So we arranged to meet and spend an hour and had an awesome meeting the next day.
That's cool. That's cool.
And that's like,
doesn't it always happen?
Before.
Just real quick. Doesn't it always happen that if you're looking for these sorts of things, they seem to find you, and that's that synchronicity aspect of all of this. And
right.
Yeah, I mean, this is good, right? Human connection is definitely good. It's something we should be looking for, which is again really the backbone of the show. One of the huge backbones here to talk about these ideas, because if you're not looking for that, you're certainly not going to find it. That's a fact.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. Well, so now this is a detail, but it's a spooky one. It's probably not important, but it's trippy as shit. I had decided I wanted to put in a fire pit up here. Well, they got security. You got to get permission. You got to design it right. You got to have water. It's got to be approved, and then you got to get a fire permit. So I call up security. I'm like, I got to build a fire permit. I'm done outdoor living up here. So I had talked to him, and I had arranged a meeting I was trying to get a meeting to get pre-approval, so I didn't build something that wasn't going to pass inspection, right? So work smart, not hard. So anyways, I'm calling them up, going through that, trying to set up the meeting. They're going through the questions. At the end of the call, he goes, so is this on your lot? And I'm like, no, it's on my buddy's. I've stayed here for 4 years. I used to work for him. I got permission to be here. And he's like, I believe you. That's all cool, but that's considered a property improvement. You're going to need that in writing. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. All right, thanks for your help. I'll be back in touch. I hung up the phone. I was like, oh, I haven't seen him in 7 years. He hasn't been up here. I haven't been able to reach him in 2 years. His email bounced. He won't return my phone calls. So I haven't spoken to him in 3 years. I'm like, there's no way I'm getting written approval. There's no fire pit. I kid you not.
He drives up.
Hung up the phone. 10 minutes later is when he drove up. I give him the tour. I mentioned the thing about the fire pit. He's like, oh, that'd be great. I was like, yeah, they need the written thing. He's like, you got pen and paper? I said, you see that chair there? And he said, yeah. And I said, you see that notebook under the table? He goes, yep, there's a pen in it. He sat down, wrote that thing, and I had my permission in 5 minutes.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
No way.
Yeah, that's spooky.
No way.
Okay. So what is the engine that causes this? Is really the question tonight. We got about 3.5 minutes left. I appreciate your brevity is your superpower truly tonight. What do you think is happening with this synchronicity engine? And are we at the turning of the age of Aquarius, as I keep saying?
Yeah. Well, and your listeners don't, so I have to be brief, but about the Herman thing. Like, you got a guide on a higher level, and he works with your soul, and he's a cross communicator. And I got my Herman, and your soul can send your Herman to my Herman and pass messages, and they pass it down, and our souls act as higher dimensional, fifth dimensional etheric guidance. I think these things are orchestrated from that level. They're pulling the string. They're setting up the synchronicity. That's the method. That's why they're always a surprise. They always seem to happen on perfect purpose and reason and timing, and they always blow us away. And when you get in a stream of those, I've been at times when you're so in sync, you have 5 in a day, it feels like it's magic. You're blessed. Everything going your way. I had one time. I used to practice martial arts with this gal. I haven't seen her in 5 years. Decided to pull into a tobacco bar to get some pipe tobacco. I hadn't been in there a year. I'm just driving by. It's like, oh, stop in there. I pull in. I see my Aikido partner I haven't seen in 5 years. Come on, Mike. Come on.
Yeah. Hey. And so I don't know how. So you think it's orchestrated from the larger cosmic sense of these sort of soul guides connecting with each other, and then drawing these moments out of us and bringing us back together.
They drop a thought, or like people call them downloads, or telepathic from your soul, and they say, turn right here, which happened to me last week. I nearly felt a tap on my right shoulder going down the highway, and right when I felt that there was a turn lane, I didn't even ask. I turned on my turn signal. I didn't even get turn right here. I just turned on my turn signal. In 100 yards, I pulled over, and right at the corner, I recognized I was like, man, there's this old, like 80-year-old Old West store there. I haven't been to in 17 years. I've only been there once. I pulled in and I was like, well, I guess there's something in here for me. An hour and a half later, met a cool guy, dropped $300 on gems and crystals I needed. I was just like, that was so cool. Yeah. It reminds me of a bumper sticker, probably my parting shot. I saw a bumper sticker a couple decades ago, and I always wanted one, but never saw it. But now you can order your own. Bumper sticker says, I just do what the voices in my head tell me.
Amen. Amen. And I think that intuition aspect, or, that sixth sense, or, that's an old term because we have way more than six senses, but whatever that sort of ESP aspect of being human is important to pay attention to. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for peeling out some time for us. Thanks for, again, brevity is truly your superpower. Fire stuff. Go back and listen and you will be impressed with yourself. I'm impressed with yourself.
Yeah, I did good. I did good today.
Thanks for the call.
Yeah, I think your last point is well taken. The more you pay attention to it and the more you recognize it, the more you'll get. It's like your guidance soul says, oh, he's open to him. He's recognized him. Let's give him more. He'll follow him.
Makes sense. You're the best. Appreciate the call. Always a pleasure. Matthew in Colorado, please go give him a follow. Check out his book, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It says Matt's books right there. Please go check it out. Let's help each other thrive and survive in trying times. We're talking synchronicity tonight. I'm calling this Contact Day, the ritual convergence. Do you feel it? Or are we just making up pizza synchronicities as we go deliver and pick up the pie? 702-857-6939. This is Troubled Minds on Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way. We got more from James. We got Jay in Arizona on the line and your calls as well. What do you know? See ya after the break.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
Let's check the news. A discovery from a Spanish astrophysics institute is turning conventional planetary science on its head. Researchers have identified an exoplanet, a Neptune-sized world orbiting extremely close to its host star, that appears to be magnetically influencing its star, rather than the other way around. The team detected regular changes in the star's brightness and energy output at specific wavelengths, which they attribute directly to the planet's magnetic field. Lead researcher Daniel Revilla and his colleagues estimate that this planet's magnetic field may be anywhere from 2 to 27 times more intense than Jupiter's, a remarkable figure for a planet of its size. The findings, published in the journal Science, are drawing attention not only for what they reveal about this particular system, but for what they suggest about planetary habitability more broadly. Magnetic fields, though invisible, play a critical role in protecting atmospheres from solar wind, a fact made painfully clear by Mars, which lost its magnetic field roughly 4 billion years ago and subsequently shed both its atmosphere and its surface water. The research team also introduced a new method for estimating magnetic field strength on distant exoplanets, a measurement that has historically eluded astronomers. If the technique holds up to scrutiny, it could become a significant new tool in the search for potentially habitable worlds beyond our solar system. The data behind the study is substantial, 16 years of observations gathered by a specialized instrument at an observatory in Spain. Researcher Rafael Luque noted that while it had long been suspected that planets could influence their host stars, this represents the clearest evidence to date that such a reversal of the typical relationship is not just theoretical. The implications for how scientists model star and planet interactions may be considerable. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. Just hanging out doing Troubled Mind stuff. It's like I said, I don't know. Do you feel it? Do you feel it? We're, sort of in that phase transition of the age of Aquarius, but do you think it's possible to pinpoint a moment? Because I'm telling you, from the synchromistic mindset, it feels like this is a moment, and I don't know what it means. Let's talk about it. What's up, Herschel? Matzel, thanks for the call. Fire stuff. Gaston, JJ, Dragon Rose, welcome. Dragon Rose is out in Rachel, Nevada, out by Area 51. What's up? Welcome home to the other home. What's up, Chef Pete, Karen Rocks, Joe in Florida. Thanks for the call. Fire stuff. Amazing. Daryl, Apoc, Satya, the Robert. Thanks for the great comments and the generous donation over there. Joey, don't panic. You guys are all incredible. Who'd I miss? Matthew in Colorado. Thanks for the call. Absolutely. Fire stuff. Matt Sell says this. Blessed to have you back at Matt in Colorado. Great call. Hey, look, we got some more friends. What's up? MJ says, now I want to watch the second Independence Day movie. I would say cautious on that one. It's not the best. It's not the best. But if you're bored and can get it easy or free, check it out. Ioxy, who'd I miss? If I missed you guys, sorry about that. What's up? B4U2C. There you go. I see you guys. Nostradamus, Salt Squiggly. All right, here we go. Trouble Minds happening now. More from James. We got Jay in Arizona and your calls coming up. Let's go. LFG. Let's do it. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. All the places, all the things, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. TroubledMinds.org. You know what to do. All the links are there. Please go check it out. Go click the things. Go help our friends. TroubledMinds.org/friends. It's not just me. Look, it's Troubled Minds, plural, for a reason. There's a lot of people that have helped this show go over the years. And we're looking to you to help tonight. We're talking synchronicities, and not just any synchronicity. We're talking about a convergence so large, it's impossible to ignore. Now, what's happening? And why is it happening? And of course, are we just spotting things that aren't real, or let's say products of an overactive imagination, etc., so on? So, I mean, look, I can see things multiple ways, and I think it's a valuable aspect of what life is. And you should be able to look at a particular instance and think about it multiple different ways. And the issue with Troubled Minds is, and I mean, it's good and it's also bad, is that the aspect of seeing a fractal multiple ways is massively confusing. And I think that we have a larger situation happening where the flood of information it's just too much. It's just way too much. And so we're the pattern recognition experts because we have to be to survive. But also beyond that, is there something cosmic in play as part of this? I don't know. And like I said, this fits all walks of life, all belief systems, because think of it this way. If you're like, nah, man, come on, Mike, that's nonsense. I'm a materialist. Perfect. You're just the guy I want to talk to, just the gal I want to talk to. Well, think of it in terms of simulation theory then. And wouldn't these synchronicities be easily programmable through some massive algorithm? You see? So, I mean, even if you're like, nah, it's too woo for me, Mike, that's fine. It's too woo for me, to be honest. But also, it's still happening. So what the hell's going on? And that's the point. James, anything to add to what Matt Co said, or anything else? And we'll take some calls.
Yeah, great call from Matthew in Colorado. I was just thinking too about these synchronicities and sort of either a physical or non-physical tap on the shoulder. I've even found with what I listen to and everything, going back to what Joe said earlier about he doesn't pay a lot of attention to, let's say, entertainment media now. And I may be misquoting, but just in my own way here, I don't consume much fictional media these days. I'm always trying to look into things for the research I'm doing, but even with that, I still find synchronicities and things, and so it is amazing. And I don't know how or why that works, but it does happen, and it's happened with multiple shows, ours, yours, and mine, before as well. Similar topics in the same night without talking with each other about doing that. You know, and callers for one show not being in the other show to even be able to tell either of us what was happening. So really fascinating. But yeah, I think that's all I have for now.
Yeah, it is a weird thing, like I said. And look, clearly we're obviously in the same mind space, the same lane. So some of that makes sense. But then also, like I keep describing, when there's just so much, how do you quantify it? And that's the most beautiful part about all this is sometimes you just can't. Like all that information becomes patterns. All the patterns we notice, we talk about. But as a result, in the larger data set of quadrillions or trillions of data points, maybe the signal is the noise. And I meant it just like I said it. I don't know. I think it's important to recognize possibilities, but I think it's also important to recognize that we're only human after all. And we need to make some sense of something, right? I don't know. You tell me. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just like this. Thanks for being patient, my man. Jay in Arizona. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you, sir? Go right ahead. That's the test 1, 2. Jay in Arizona. You're on Troubled Minds. Nothing. Bad connection, maybe. I'm fiddling with the dials. Nope, nothing coming through. If you can hear me, I can't hear you. All right, call back. We'll peel out some time for you. Stay up late with us. Jay in Arizona. I'm dropping the call. Sorry about that. Technical glitches do happen. I don't have a call screener, and I'm not going to try and subject anybody to that. By the way, my mom is strange, was like, "Hey, Mike, you need a call screener? I'll be your call screener." I'm like, Mom, if you were call screening, they would never make it to the show because you would just chat it up with what my mother would have her own show on the call screen segments. She'd be like, "Oh, I love your calls. Thank you for calling. So you're amazing." And then just ask you questions and then never really put you on the show. Anyway, 702-857-6939. And I mean that in the best way. I love you, Ma, if you're out there listening. She may or may not be. Let's go to Jen in Missouri. Thanks for being patient. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you tonight? And go right ahead.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep, coming through loud and clear. Thank you for the call. What's on your mind? What's going on with this tonight?
Okay, well, when you look at the whole thing, it's actually really frustrating. I feel really frustrated about it. I mean, when you think about, okay, so CERN being shut off, and what did they find? There was no major announcement. If they did find what they were looking for, and it's changed the face of science or reality, we'll hear about it in an article at some point, perhaps, after the fact, after they've done, whatever they're doing with it. All the while, they're popping up, all these mega billionaires are popping up data centers, everywhere around the United States. People are talking about that. And they're creating these supercomputers, and they're working on things, and they're saying that they're transparent, but it's like everything else that happens. They explore the entirety of society from every angle and want everybody to believe, that we are all one, all the humans on the planet, we're all coming together. We're all, this is all for us, for humanity. But it seems like it's some kind of private party, to be honest. And the information that they are getting, whatever we are gleaning from it, having to piece together after the fact. As I read the article I sent to you in Discord, that they're running a data center off of, cerebral fluid, a biological computer data center that they flood daily, have to touch up with more cerebral fluid, or a mashup of what would be equal to cerebral fluid or a replacement for it. And it can play a game of Doom, 1993 Doom. I mean, that's insane.
It's a classic.
This computer can do.
93 Doom was so good, though. It was so good.
Huh?
93 Doom was so good. It was a classic. Sorry, I was just making a joke. But I follow what you're saying. And it is a little terrifying that this is the place we're heading. Not just a transhumanist space, but then the ability to make these sort of artificial life forms that are hybrids, the chimeras of Alex Jones. I mean, here we go, right?
Yeah, they think they are. And then you wonder, to build these big, huge data centers that, we were already sustaining the infrastructure we have as it stands technologically, to some extent, just the typical Wi-Fi everybody needs for Google and YouTube and whatever they're doing. So we already had that before the data centers. I think that's really odd. So the data centers come up, and they're going to supply the future infrastructure of technology to some degree. And they aren't investing whatsoever in what's already here. So they're intending something that's beyond this, because they don't care about what's already here. I noticed that. So like I say, it's a private party of information to some, elect group that's making decisions. Did they ask, like humanity on the planet, if we want, Stargate technology, basically, or if we wanted to do that, if that's what we want to do? If they're trying to get this information from the boson, and they say that they did figure something out, or they do eventually contact, or are able to house some type of super intelligence from the universe in some way in these data centers, that they give enough information and they give it a human-like brain, or at least with neurons, 200,000 neurons as of right now, human brain neurons. No other creature on the planet can play Doom, besides people, with a brain, it's like one of those the old show you did about those little globules that were, brain matter, basically. But if they do encompass or are trying to put galactical intelligence and human intelligence into a supercomputer, central data center, something or other, and then we'll retire from government and governing people and leave it up to this sort of, techno, tech, god, theocracy, government system, or something that they may be aiming for. They've informed none of us of it. We just speculate that might be what they're doing. No, we don't know if that's what we're doing. It's like, what are you doing then? Like, what is all this? Because everyone else is still doing stuff basically from the early 2000s. Like, life has not changed much. For most people, their day-to-day is still grind. So it's like, if they're celebrating, or if they believe that they have come upon something, but they're withholding that information, whatever that is. And then if the great disclosure is that they figure out a way to completely hack into, I don't know what we should call it, like the intelligence, free roaming intelligence of, non-biological life form intelligence, and put it into a biological life form of a type. And then use that as like a unexhaustible resource for governing the world. To some extent is what I would guess, if I was just like guessing, that they're going to solve the issue of the world governments being divided and people feeling that they didn't ask anyone if that's what they wanted to do. They're just going to enforce it, like they do with everything else. And it may be for the betterment, but we wouldn't even know the difference. And so it's even weird to consider, too. I've been hearing about, like the heat waves in the UK and all of this. And then, if that becomes an issue, if that's a real issue, and where are they going to tie it to? Like, is it environmental in some way? Are we eventually going to just be like we'll do whatever they tell us to do because we have no choice. So, I mean, there is a great deal of choice, but eventually, like all things that become some type of law, anything else, if we were forced to somehow like have to change the entirety of how the world has been, they would just enforce it. There'd be no, they do it through persuasion. And these, like the hearings we've been having on the MK Ultra and everything about what's being exposed with that reveals that they ultimately are perfectly fine with doing with civilization and society whatever they want, at least in certain groups. And now we've given unlimited power and money through capitalism to these tech billionaires now that are quiet as can be. Like, you don't hear much from them, like Elon Musk, for example, as we were hearing when he was getting on everybody's good side by saying like risky things. But now we're looking down this tunnel to 2030 whenever they decide to do, like if they're going to turn it back on. Or, I heard they're building a much bigger one, is what I gather. In addition to that, though, it's like, if it did affect our timeline, or what they're doing right now is that they are going to encapsulate some sort of superior intelligence into the computers that they are building, that they're fueling with neurons and spinal fluid and stuff. So, I mean, they're just doing whatever they want. It's crazy. And
there's a term for it, by the way. The term for it is, what is it? Techno-fascism is what the term is.
That would be it.
Yeah, and if that's where we're headed, it's a terrifying future, and that's why we got to pay attention. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted with the synchronicities. Go ahead for that.
Oh, I mean, are they? If there is some kind of natural synchronicity going on, which there appears to be, there always has been talk about omens and signs and things like that, then we have to face the idea that, are they actually going to house it in this technology? Would it even be something it wanted to do? Or would you just sort of be gleaming the top of it? You know, would it be, they're trying to contain it. If you look at ancient, transhumanism at the turn of the century in Russia, and the cosmos, the big movement with that, and the whole thing that started with NASA and everything else, the whole idea was to reach out beyond the veil, basically, and get information and then apply it to this world. For what? I mean, to what ultimate attainment? I think just they make it sound like, if you listen to those Shorty Rose videos and yada yada that have been around for years, that they are summoning, you know, they keep talking about that. They're summoning, that they're bringing something through, that they're trying to realize something and trying to reach some type of form of immortality. You know, and an ability to resurrect the dead is what the cosmic transhumanist religion is, and trying to resurrect all of the dead and this sort of religion, basically. It's a religious thing. And when you tie that into, like, what would society, a government ruled by a supercomputer database system, computer isn't even going to be the right word now. I mean, it's not even the right word. You're looking at just a somehow contained God that mimics like the containment of what humanity thinks of as them being like a container for God. You know, like humans tend to think that we are some kind of type of vessel for divine intelligence in some way, that we're kind of, to some, you know, in our own little way. We're left to kind of contemplate our own death and our existence and everything. But something else besides us is going to share, you know, in playing Doom and stuff that is not human and that is not, you know, can't, you know, it's so hard to wrap your mind around, but why would you tap into the cosmic intelligence and give it a video game to play? I mean, what are they? So it's not truly as, I don't know, is it as complex as we're giving it credit for? Like, is it going to be world-shattering information? It would be. If they just turn the entire government over to this type of intelligence, I can't imagine they would do that and give up all that power, you know, of control. That's just part of it, I think. Okay, like that, to some degree, they kind of get off on this idea of controlling the world and everything, you know. So I don't know.
Well said.
Otherwise, why they seek this power, you know?
Yeah, I don't know either. That's the whole point. Is that there's so much information swirling in emotion. It's impossible to really know, but our intuition tells us a lot, and that's why we need to talk to each other in this space and recognize that. Hey, if I kind of feeling a thing, you're kind of feeling a thing. Madco's kind of feeling a thing. James is kind of feeling a thing. We see some of these threads come through that may not be as easily discernible or even describable, but we're still sort of talking about them in the abstract and the periphery, and we feel it. There's something happening, and what is it? Look, I don't know. I don't know those answers, but this is the entire point of the space, as you know. I appreciate the call. We can hear those fireworks in the back, by the way, and I think it's awesome. you're out there. Jen calling us from a fireworks show in Missouri. What else you got?
It's not a big deal. I mean, it's true. It's not a big deal. You know, like, it's not as big a deal as, like, I can sound kind of like, oh, you know, I'm really upset about this, but I mean, in the end, you kind of slip into it, and then life's just going that direction. Like, that's just what reality is now. Like, it's better for the computers to run the government because these people are so terrible at it. It looks like it shapes that direction. Like, we can all say that we are not happy with the way things are going in the world. Maybe this would be better. You see, it'll just slip on like that. And then it'll be fine for a while, and then something will happen. It'll just go on, and I'm sure it'll just go on just more, hopefully more, pleasant and interesting for humanity, and not some type of thought, against it in some way. So who knows? But that's paranoia, and we have to all be cautious about that. I think it's just the secrecy that they keep. And the fact that they believe they need to protect people, I think people really resent that. Whether it's UFOs or anything, people resent the secrecy of being treated like they can't take it, the information. So, anyway, have a great 4th of July, and I'll talk to you later.
Well said. Appreciate the call. And you as well. Happy Independence Day, and we'll catch you soon. Have a great night.
See you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer. Please go give her a follow. This is the whole point. Let's talk to each other. Let's see what we're seeing together as a group and recognize the things that may or may not be and talk about them. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. It says follow Jen. Is Jennifer? Yeah, Jennifer right there. Right there, right in the middle. It's alphabetical. It's all alphabetical. Please follow all these amazing people that make the show go. That's exactly the point of this, is that, look, there's no voice that is too small. And this is why we talk to each other in public, because everybody else out there needs to hear this too. Okay, that maybe they don't know it yet, but I'm telling you, we're onto some things that are as yet quantifiable. And that's what I'm always talking about. You guys are the best. Let's go. I got a couple more. James, anything to add to what Jen said there? We got Jay in Arizona called back, so we'll go to him momentarily. And thanks for being patient, friends, with the technology and stuff. I don't know what happens with the phone line. Sometimes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. James, anything to add to what Jen said? And thanks for being patient. Welcome back.
Yeah, great to hear, Jen, as always. Great call. Great calls all night. I'm just thinking about technology and all that, and that again, the idea of a vessel for something. And it's just, we see these concepts even in fiction over and over again of, people or other beings wanting to have vessels to go into, or people thinking that they want to be in contact with some other being, and the way they'll do it is give it a vessel. And it's funny how so much of this always turns out so terribly, and yet people like Jen was talking about seem to be heading toward that direction possibly. So that's it for now.
Yeah, it is strange, the idea that there's so much information that and the binary political space too, that kind of encompasses everything, because they're the ones who make the rules, that we're like, okay, wait though, like there's more nuance to this. It's not just simply a Republican Democrat issue. And that goes for everything. Like, everything is now spiraling off the chain into those fractals, as I've been describing. And so with all of the new information we're getting, I think the old versions of, 535 or however many people are in Congress is not enough. I mean, I think too much bureaucracy is bad, but also, by the way, not enough representation is bad. Like, I can't pick up the phone and call my congressman, you can, but you get a message and then they don't call you back. So it's like, do you really know the people that are, quote, representing you? I mean, the answer is probably no. And not to get political, but you know what I mean? There's just so much information now that old system needs some reform and needs some robustness to how we do these things together. And, this is, like I said, this is not a political show, and I'm not trying to be stupid like that, but you get what I mean. When you only had a newspaper to get your information from, it was one thing, but now suddenly the fractal of information is just raining down on us, and we weren't built to do this, but here we are. So I think, forward thinking in that space is really what this is all about. You guys are the best. We're talking synchronicities tonight, and I'm calling this, actually, look, this is the contact day, actual contact. And I don't mean it like the UFO is going to land on the White House lawn. I mean the contact day of synchronicity itself, this ritual convergence we've been talking about for almost a month at this point. shout out Derek the Night Stalker, kicked this all off with an unbelievable thread, multiple threads, dozens of threads of everything pointing to this moment. And even a lot of things we didn't see ourselves coming. And now suddenly it all is converging on this weekend of America 250, 4th of July, Independence Day, or ID4, as the movie was called, 1996, 30th anniversary of this release tomorrow, linked forever with disclosure because of Will Smith in this movie. Right? What the hell's going on? It's weird. Bruh, it's weird. What do you know about it? What do you know about synchronicities? Do you think that there's something happening in the larger space of this? Is it cosmic? Is it an algorithm? Is it an overactive imagination of the pattern seeker? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Damn, I'm good these days. Michael's trained with a lot of practice. You can get pretty good. Let's go to Jay in Arizona. Thanks for calling back, brother. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? Go right ahead.
Just wanted to make sure, do I got a clear connection? Can you hear me?
I got you, buddy. Loud and clear. You're coming through.
Oh, yeah, I'm just talking about personal experience, not, the nonsense of, whatever the world. But I think for synchronicities to really work, you guys have to get away from technology, like leave the phone at home, the car, because now the car has everything too with tracking and, compute anything technological for you to really be in sync. Because I don't know if you guys ever think kind of my mind works differently, but I think a lot of stuff's orchestrated nowadays with everybody being connected with tech. And in reality, it's like a false synchronicity where you guys are just kind of like, a lot of people believe these things, but again, is it really whatever you want to call divine or more manipulation? But for me, personal experience, back in the day when I was crossing the border a lot, I went old school. I used to take the bus across the border, shuttles, and I don't know if you guys ever lived in different cultures per se outside of America, but it's interesting to see synchronicities outside of the border just to see how things pan out. And, I kind of reflect on my experiences outside of America and then inside. And I always leave my phone out. I'm not really into tech anymore. I'm old school, I guess. But, you kind of see more natural synchronicities versus like, I would say simulated, by whatever you want to call it, the government or whatever. They're always tracking you. And it's just interesting, like I said before, I don't know if you guys ever reflect. I think that's part of life is just, it never makes sense looking forward, but only backwards. And you kind of wonder why, things pan out the way they do. And for instance, for me as an example, I guess recent near-death experiences I've had, it sounds funny because I don't know why I'm attracted to death. I think we call it in Spanish, muerta. And I think me and death have a good relationship, like a love-hate relationship where it's like, they don't want me, but we still kind of flirt. You know what I mean? But after my near-death experience recently, a couple years ago, it was just interesting how my life changed per se. I was more on kind of like Matrix, like Neo. I was, believing in free will, but I think when you give into what you're destined for, life kind of flows like a river, more fluidly into what you're destined for. And back in the day, I was always analytical. It's interesting, the right and left brain. I was always into finance and stuff like that. And then something just told me I just did it for the money, basically. You know what I mean? It was good money. It was a good career, comfortability. And I don't believe life should be comfortable. I think that's what America preaches is comfort. People get lazy. They get stagnant. And I believe what life is suffering and growing. That's how it should be. But I think a lot of us just don't want to suffer anymore in growth, and through experiences, failures, trials and tribulations. And if you were to tell me, I'm sure just like you, I don't know if you ever reflect, but, I don't know your real name, but Michael Strange, if you were to ever have a live radio show, I don't know when you started, but let's say 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I'm sure you probably would have thought that was a crazy idea, but here we are. And it's the same with me. It's like, if somebody would have told me, hey, I'd be calling into a radio show talking, or I'd be doing this, or I'd be doing that, I'd be like, if Jerry, you're going to become a skydiver or whatever. I'm like, what? I'm going to be, but I think that was more of for me, a sixth sense. I was more in tune with it. Yes, I would fear it. Yes, I didn't want to grow. I didn't want to suffer. But I believed, I listened. I don't know what the words are, but I just trusted. And, here I am today. And for instance, the fields I work in now, it's a lot different. It's more creative fields, which is a lot harder in today's world. I think, organic fields that are creative. I've gotten more into per se, I don't know what the proper word is, but like embroidery type of fields, or architectural type of fields, or I don't know, whatever, and the old me was more financial, spreadsheets, stuff like that. And, it was hard for me to let go of that steady paycheck, that steady comfort, and kind of start over again, and new things. But things are kind of working out in a weird way, but it's like growth. Again, I always go back to, I don't know if you guys are into nature, but, it's if you study things, I think in nature, I think that's the best teacher per se. Just my belief. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but, everybody has their own. And for instance, like in nature, there's some owls that bring live snakes into their nests. It's kind of like allies working with unknown allies per se, I guess, in the way of the government, the way they describe it. But with owls and snakes, it's interesting how they, I guess relationship wise, and the snakes eat the parasites and larvae, and it helps the owls to grow stronger and safer. And then there's very various what do you call it, just interesting psychologies in nature. There's also, I don't know if you guys are into reptiles, but I have snakes and stuff like that. And there's paradise tree snakes that they have no wings or legs, but they can launch into the air, and they flatten their rib cages and glide, and steer with their tails, which is interesting. But I think in a weird way, I don't know how this relates to synchronicity, but somehow we adapt. Somehow we can, either you can conform and believe in free will, or you can actually kind of trust the path you're destined for. But anyways, like I said before, crossing the border real quick back in the day, it was interesting too. Like I said, when my uncle was murdered out there, I reflected on it, and it was like, man, there were so many close calls that I had that I was ignorant about, because I was just living, I would say whatever my focus was just having fun or this and that. And in a funny way, I remember, some of the people that my family member came in contact with, I saw them, but I didn't really see them, if that makes sense. You couldn't see the two-facedness, and this gets kind of scary. It's a psychological type of, again, I think a lot of us have strength physically, but psychologically we're not there in strength. And I remember we used to break bread with these people. They would come into the house, and, I met their family. One time I spent the night, but somehow or another they were connected to the murder. But it's just crazy how, I spent the night at their house, and these people just had a different agenda, and somehow I'm still alive. And then I just reflected on, why wasn't I per se caught up in that drama? First of all, I'm not trying to preach or anything, but I do believe in whatever, a higher power, whatever you want to define it as verbally. But just going back to that personal experience, it's interesting because, for me, it's a joke. I was in the Latin culture, we call it like bipolar. It's basically left and right brain. And, for me per se, I would say that experience just taught me different things and reflecting, in today's presence versus back then, just living in the moment. And I apologize, I'm outside right now. I'm walking, so I'm trying to get my exercise in and multitask with talking.
Get those steps, brother.
Yeah,
get those steps.
Going back to that personal experience, I remember those. It was a family, and again, it gets crazy. Like psychology, I call it, just per se, in different cultures. But there's a lot of documentaries in different languages. In our culture, the Latin culture, Spanish, they had, I think it's on, I think it's called VIX, VIX, and it's a lot of Spanish type of, kind of like Netflix, but it's in the Mexico, the different type of Spanish entertainment venue. And they had this documentary where this normal family, and it was kind of like what I experienced, but they would kill innocent people out there. And it was interesting because, you know, for me, I'm just trying to think how to word this, is that I guess with that personal experience per se, you know, I met the family, whatever, my personal experience. But what was interesting, I think the reason they didn't really mess with me, which was funny, it wasn't something I was trying to portray, but me being a skydiver, I connected with like the Mexican military out there, and I was going to the Mexican military airport. You know, I was interacting with the military out there just because I was a skydiver. And I think for some reason that family thought like, you know, me, I had some type of connections or some type of training, not just per se in skydiving, but let's say self-defense. And of course I didn't. It was just funny, you know, how interpretations of people and what you see and what you embody. And I guess it was a blessing in disguise, but I remember they took me to the airport and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, but I think in that moment, they kind of had second thoughts of whatever it was before maybe making a move on me, just like they did on my uncle. And again, synchronicities, I don't know, you know, it wasn't something I planned, but it's just interesting when you reflect on it, like, hey, that kind of makes sense, you know, even though I didn't plan it. And maybe the way they perceive things, they were like, hey, let's not mess with this guy. We don't really know what he's about. You know what I mean? Which I'm not about anything. I'm not a special force guy. I'm just a guy that goes out there and fails, you know, but it's interesting. I don't know if you guys ever reflect per se on personal experiences outside of technology and different cultures. Living outside of the border, it was interesting too, how my brain got rewired. Because what I would always do is I would go every other week to Mexico. I would take the bus. Sometimes I would drive, but I would go straight out there. I would stay for like 3 or 4 days, have fun, come back, and then go back to work. And it was just weird how my mind would like have to adjust because I was living out there and like the radio wave, stuff like that. Just everything out there was in Spanish. It was nothing in English, you know, but I don't know, like I said, it's just personal experience, you know, and I don't know, who knows, you know, why we do, and just like me and you talking, why did I encounter troubled minds? Why did I encounter these wise minds? Why am I calling in? Is it me per se making that choice? Or is it something that was just more destined? Or was it an algorithm? You know, who knows? You know, I mean, I know you don't know, I don't know, but all these questions kind of stimulate the mind. And I know per se, like some things, and I always go back to this, like just because we're all on the same topic with UFOs, but like Travis Walton, why did I meet his daughter? I always wonder about that. I'm like, why did I meet her? You know, it's not something I planned, and that wasn't nothing related to tech. But just all these things, these occurrences in life, and maybe down the road, some answer will stimulate and present itself. But I don't know. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's going back to you guys per se, like you, I think his name's James. All you guys speak very eloquently. Night Stalker, that dude's very interesting. The Chilean guy. And I apologize, I don't remember everybody's name, but, you know, just when I tune in sometimes, all you guys are just on a different level, you know, and I don't know, like I said before, but this weekend too, it's kind of interesting. I do a little bit of bartending on the side, and I'm doing some events for some concerts and stuff like that out here in Arizona. And it's just interesting too, like I said, when I'm out there, the people you come across in these venues, you know, and it's like, you wonder sometimes, it's like, is it fate or is it just something by choice? And just like Morpheus and Neo, you know, I believe we have two choices, but I think it's up to us. And I think sometimes when we do go outside of our fate, I think in a funny way, whether you want to call it God, Dios, whatever, I think in a funny way, it pulls us back to where we're supposed to be, even though we kind of venture off of the path of what we're destined for. And like you know, I don't know if you were always into radio or these topics or journalism or whatever you want to define it as, but maybe you were kind of going outside of that back in the day, and you just were not ignorant, but ignoring the inner voice of who you were. And you just said, hey, I gotta grind it out and, you know, figure it out. And somehow you're here now. But, anyways, like I said, I'll shut up. I could keep talking on and on. But thanks again for what you do, and, you know, all the inspiration and the people involved in this group. You know what I mean? I call you guys all wise minds, but yeah, like I said before, just stay safe out there, you know, and for me, just keep your eyes up in the sky at night. A lot of weirdness going on, you know, and just be aware, be vigilant, because you never know, you know, there's always something going on. And I think to build that sixth sense, it's not something I recommend, but I think you have to put yourself in danger sometimes for that muscle to build. And kind of like I did, crossing the border, encountering death in that way and in various other ways. I wouldn't recommend it, but I do believe it does, kind of like going to the gym, it does strengthen, and you become more aware of certain things and you pay attention more. But I think if you're always at home, just on the computer, on tech, you have it, but at the same time, it's not as, I don't know, it's malnourished, that sixth sense.
Well said, brother. Be safe out there, please. I know you're in a kind of walk in a dangerous space, and don't dance too closely with La Muerta, okay? Because the fascination becomes a prophecy at some point. So just be really safe for me, be really safe for us. We appreciate you a lot. Happy Independence Day to you. Viva Mexico, when the fireworks go off. And always a pleasure, brother. You be safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. Jay in Arizona. There you go. Hey, look at that. It's good to have smart friends all over the world that are interested in interesting things. And that's what this has always been about. James, anything to add to that? We'll go to Matt in Colorado, and then we'll take a vote if we're going to go a little later, because, you know, I'm off for 3 days and not going anywhere. I'm going to stay here and keep my house from burning down. So if we're going to go a little longer, we'll get some votes. If anybody wants to call in, we'll take some extra calls tonight. And then we're not. Then I'll shut it down and go do something else. But anything to add, James? And then we'll go to Matco, and then we'll take the votes and decide. How you doing? Everything okay? Welcome back. What's on your mind, my man?
Yeah. Oh, not too much. Just a lot going on there. Great call from Jay. And yeah, I don't know. It's odd because, yeah, I'm not sure. There's just too much, I guess, in my mind right now. So I think I'll wait. And then if I think of anything I can actually say later on, I will do that.
Okay, perfect. Shout out DTM over there. I see you on X. Thank you for the comment there. It doesn't come through, so the restream doesn't go back to. But I see there. Thanks for I had a dream. I called in. How about that? Right? Have you ever had a dream you called in to Troubled Minds? And by the way, too, go back. Look, I've got a deep track record of being, you know, like 98.5% kind and polite to everybody. Whether I believe or whether I don't believe, and it doesn't matter. It's people talking to people, and that's exactly the point. Let's do it. Let's go to it. Okay, so the throwing the vote out. If we got to extra calls, we'll stay up a little late tonight because we do have not just a synchronicity space and the convergence of possibly the moment that Aquarius defines itself in the ages, but also it's us. Hey. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Easy as that. And let's do some voting in the chat, or some hands up in the thing, or some calls on the Discord or wherever. And we'll go a little late. I will take a quick break because I do have to hit the loo. Shout out to my friends in the UK. Let's go to Matt in Colorado. What's about your own Troubled Minds? Pop on in here, hit the button, and remember, brevity is your superpower, sir. I have to preempt. We got to vote. Skip to my loo. DTM, I see there. Thanks again. Look, many of you amazing people have been listening forever on the podcast feed. That's become the lifeblood of this show. If we didn't have as large a following as we do on the podcast feed, I'd have quit. I'd been like, I'm out of here. Forget this. It's impossible. It's impossible without doing political stuff. It's impossible without joining a team and declaring for a team and then backing up all the criminals and liars on the team. That's a problem. Matt in Colorado. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. Actually, I'm gonna bump you back to the thing. Hold on, let me see. How do I do this? Because I got to hit the loo. So we're gonna take a quick break. We'll come right back and talk to Matt in Colorado and more from James if he's got it. And if you guys have additional information to share, then we'll stay up a little late. Like I said, I don't have anywhere to be tomorrow. I'm gonna sleep in, and I'm gonna drink too many beers tonight. Probably. I've had 3. I usually start with just so you know, I start with a couple of non-zero beers, the zero beers, so I don't get smashed by the end. And if you've been listening for any amount of time, there's been some shows where I was smashed by the end and learned the hard way. Anyway, all right, let's do it. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up in just a moment. I'm going to, how do I do this? How do I uninvite Matt to speak? Okay, so if you pop in here, Matt, please don't talk because I'm going to play some music and go hit the loo and be right back. I'm going to grab myself another zero beer so I don't get smashed, and be right back. More Troubled Minds in just a moment. Actually, I've got a song to play, and this one's for Sweets. This is one of my favorites of the old space. Yeah, here we go. Be right back. More Troubled Minds in just a moment. We got Matthew in Colorado, and if you guys want more tonight, put your hands up and call in, and I'll talk to you momentarily. Be right back.
Crazy colors swirling, got the laughter in the air. Jesters in the night, they weave magic everywhere. Clowns are juggling dreams, wild world is in despair. Nothing's quite as certain when reality's a game. Chaos in the corner, whispers calling out your name. Look around, it's laughter, even when we're feeling pain. You know what you want me, there'd be nights like this. You know what you want me, there'd be nights like this. You know what you want me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Dancing shadows flicker under neon all aglow, while the stage is set for tales that nobody will know. Echoes of the laughter as the lost ones see the show. Life's a playful circus where the chaos takes a bow. Joy and sorrow blending in the rhythm that we vow. Join the ride of madness, it's the only way for love. No one want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Twists and turns and shadows, laughter in the night. A tapestry of madness, dancing with the light. Fools and fun were woven, chaos in our stride. Embrace the wild, let the laughter be our guide. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Falling in the rhythms, beats that pound and thrum. A flashing carnival where the misfits come undone. Whirling through the madness with our hearts set to ignite. In the symphony of chaos will remain the shining light. You know they want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds, all the things, all the places. Happy Independence Day to the coming weekend. Happy federal holiday tomorrow that lands on a Friday. I didn't know the rules. James looked it up for me. Shout out James. I was like, why is it Friday and not Sunday or Monday or what the hell's going on? James is like, Mike, when a federal holiday lands on Saturday, you get the Friday off. But when it lands on a Sunday, you get the Monday off. And I was like, James, my man, we're taking your calls. Like, we're talking synchronicities tonight. And I honestly didn't know that. I'm not making fun of James. I didn't know. I don't know how the crap works. What do you know about this? How weird does it get? And is there something to the larger concept of synchronicities? Not just on a personal level, but on the level of society. That's what's on my mind tonight. Anything to add, James? And you can take a shot back at me if you like, as you know, as you always know. By the way, James is never scripted. He's off the chain when we start, and he's off the chain when we end. He's just a very polite gentleman, and so he can always take a shot at me if he likes. Anything to add, James?
I didn't know about the day pattern or the day rules either. I just looked it up because I was curious. Because I never knew either. But yeah, no, it's, I don't know how they decide these things. And also, I should say, it was a basic web search, so who knows how accurate that is. But yeah, anyway, that's all I have on that.
It sounds as accurate as it should be. I mean, hey, for all the crap we give AI for hallucinating, sometimes it just kind of knows some things. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Going a little bit late tonight. Like I said, if we got some extra callers, what do you know about this disclosure aspect? And does it feel weird that all of this is kind of stacking? The CERN stuff, 2012, it's complicated. And of course, the 250th America anniversary. Yes, indeed. Matthew in Colorado. What's up, brother? Welcome back. Diminished returns. Super double brevity is your superpower. Welcome back. What's on your mind? Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I think I got the sound wired. Hey, and I got the transition bar. You could time me. I think I got this in 60 seconds with the humorous intro. So at the end there, I thought we were sticking to the 2 hours. I realized I didn't have time. I inadvertently did not close Discord, so it was kind of going in the background. And I confess, I've been conscious since 3:30 this morning. I had an amazing dream. And I confess, one time during dictating a text message today, and I'm blind, legally blind, not as bad as James, but I do confess in my voice dictation, apparently I lost consciousness towards the end of a text. And I woke up and I thought, oh, yeah, I think that's it. And I hit send. And then I went back and read it. The last couple of sentences were hilarious. I was like, yeah. I had to text the person. I was like, please consider the last 3 sentences deleted.
Hey, funny enough, so Matthew will dictate to me as well, and one of the things he sent to me, I was like, it said you're a loser or something like that, and I was like, that's a weird thing to type. Now I know why, because you didn't know what the hell you said. It was something weird. Like I was like, bro, like that's not something he would typically say. But okay, I'm a big boy. I can take it. But now I fully understand. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so interestingly, I went back and reread it. It wasn't as bad as I thought. And I'm like, actually, I see where I was going, and I pretty much got it. But it was really the last sentence or two seemed to be bridging between my conscious mind's point and my subconscious. And it was something to the effect of, and I got to modify the language a bit. And it's like, yeah, and I've been dealing with that lately, and people not keep their dreamers not kicking butts out of my life. It was like, I wouldn't have said that in the context of the person I'm talking to, but my subconscious just squeezed it in there. Okay, now I get my time back that you interjected.
You got it, buddy.
Let's reset the clock to 40 seconds, see if we can do this. Okay, this happened last week. I believe, and I texted you this, but I knew you were talking. I believe I've halved synchronicity. Now, let me be clear. It's a limited half, but it's powerful and it works, and I've tested. Now, when I told you the story of getting tapped on the shoulder, I hacked that. What I mean is, that synchronicity happened because I allowed it to happen. I made it happen. Now, once the synchronicity begins, you have no control. That's why it's a synchronicity. It's a surprise. You don't know what's going to happen. It's like I said, architected from above. However, my hack is I've learned you can, let's say, create or manifest or have them happen basically by conscious will and desire using this hack. Incredibly simple. I've already explained the second half when I said at the very close of the last segment, pay attention to them. The more you pay attention to them, the more they happen. Remember when I said that?
I sure do. Well, I was here. I'm a conscious entity in the conversation. You bet your ass.
yeah, but you multitask, I know, and you got good CPU, but sometimes.
Thank you. Hey, by the way, thank you for recognizing that, because it's not easy to do what I do. There's like 10 things at once I'm trying to like process, and then also have like a coherent narrative come out of my mouth. Your time is granted back. Go ahead, sir.
You're a one-man show. You're watching 3 screens. I get it. You're multitasking. I'm a single tasker. My task is you, and that's pretty easy to keep up with. Let's be real here. Sorry. Anyways, so the first part, and so it makes it really easy. The first part is you consciously allow and plan in your schedule. Okay, and Jay in Arizona, I kind of agree with him with the technology thing. Mine usually happen in public. Small mom and pop stores, grocery stores, convenience stores, people you haven't met, even a chain store. And you go in, and I always introduce myself. I'm like, hey, what's your name? And they're like, Matthew. And I'm like, hey, that's my name too. It's the greatest name. Whatever. You connect with people. You strike up conversations. Maybe they're talkative, maybe they're not. But it allows it an opening. Okay. So that's paying attention. But what you can do, so I agree with that part. What you could do, here's my hack. When I left that day on the trip, when I got the tap to turn right on my signal in that store, I knew I only had 2 important errands to do in town. It's a 45-minute trip. All right? I'm like, hey, I got a leisurely deal a day. I only have 2 important things to do. They're going to take 20 minutes each. I might as well take my time, right? I could do lunch. You know what? I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to be on the lookout. Intentionally, I'm going to drive down Main Street slow. It's not my normal hometown, but I'm a little familiar with it. I'm going to be on the look. I'm going to look for mom and pops. I'm going to wait for something to catch my eye. I'm going to pay attention when I get turned to park here, pull in here. I see some guy sitting on a park bench. It's an interesting looking guy. Sitting, son, I think I'll pull in and sit down on a different bench and, say goodbye, comment on the weather, and see if a conversation strikes up, that sort of thing, right? Go with the flow. I'm allotting myself an extra 3 hours on top of my 40 minutes of instrument errand. I'm planning synchronicities into my schedule before I left the house.
Okay.
It's scheduled
See.
activity.
Okay. Okay. I get what you're saying. Go ahead and finish.
So that's the hack. You plan it on purpose with your conscious mind. I'm allowing synchronicity. Step 2, I already told you. Then you just go and you pay attention. You wait for the tap on the shoulder. You see the man on the park bench. You notice an interesting shop you've never seen, right? You pay attention, and when you see them, you act on it without question, right? You've created the space. Now you're paying attention. There's the old, the Don Juan Carlos Castaneda called the Toltec tradition. There's a famous line by Don Juan, and I've studied that stuff for decades, and I've found it to be true. Very short and sweet. I pass this along to everybody I can. He said, all feats of magic or sorcery, men or power, always come down to intent. Never forget that. It's intent. When you leave planning to consciously have 2 hours for synchronicity, you're planting your intent. The power of your intent, your free will choice, your willpower, that makes magic happen. Then, and this happens whether you're creating a business, standard manifestation protocol, the secret, all that. The metaphysics 101, how you build a house. Okay. got the intent, you got the idea. You need to pay attention. And a little tidbit there, pay attention on a regular basis over time to your intent. And then you follow through, next step, with action. So you're paying attention, you notice, and you take action. And then you repeat through attention and action, deploy resources, you reiterate. That's how you manifest anything in this world. That's a basic formula. There's some more details. That's another show. So you create the space. I'm going to leave time for the synchronicities. You go through your day, you pay attention. You get the tap on the shoulder, turn on your signal. You take action, right? You see the guy in the park bench, you see the store, you take action, you pull over, you go to the park bench. Then you've done your part. You step back, let the synchronicity unfold. You got no control. You don't know what's going to happen, right? The hack is over. You launched it. Now you're in it. Now it unfolds.
Now, don't forget your kung fu skills because who knows what's about to go down.
Right. So okay, I'm going to say that was 2 minutes, but I gave some further detail. But I think it's an important hack. I've been working with synchronicities, you know me, Michael, 20 years. I just came up with that hack last week, and every time I tried it, it worked. So I wanted to pass that along to people. If you're into synchronicities, real simple. Plan for it, set your intent, pay attention. When it appears, take action. The rest, remember Kung Fu. Prepare to be amazed and entertained.
Amen.
Let the show, right?
Amen. Appreciate that very much. Happy Independence Day to you and yours, and be safe out there, please, because this weekend's going to be wild, I think, in many ways.
Oh, hey, real quick, you do this quick, and it is important to me. I put on the chat, you were busy, you might not have seen. There's some fairly likely chance on the 4th of July I'll be under a mandatory evacuation. Have to appear.
Okay.
Probably very little notice. We've got a 0% containment fire that in 6 days went 50 acres to, we don't have updated figures today, but yesterday 18,000 acres.
I saw that. Like the biggest wildfire in Colorado in 30 years or something. Yeah. So
it's about, they don't know, choppers were flying overhead today, headed towards the fire, trying to get visual. I'm guessing it's 45 miles away from here. They've already done mandatory evacuation between the fire and where I'm at. People are already evacuating off the mountain up here. People are taking it seriously. I took the incident commander. It's outside Uray in a town called Ridgeway. They flew her in Kansas. I talked to her for 45 minutes. Blue Mesa Reservoir is going to stop it, but if it goes around and crosses Gunnison, if they don't build a bridgehead and stop this thing, we're talking Crested Butte, Peonia, Marble, Aspen, 7 miles of crow flies, Vale.
Okay. So please track carefully and hey, evacuate first and ask questions later. Okay, you can always come back to a safe spot. You can't if it gets. Come on, stop it! Stop! Listen to the things I'm saying to you. Okay. Evacuate first. You can always come back later. All right. It's more important to save whatever you got in the moment and then pick up the pieces. Okay. Just all right. Final thoughts, sir. Okay, and be safe.
The listeners know, I'm just asking for general prayers for the state of Colorado and the subdivision here. Myself personally, I'm prepared. I'm in a camp trailer with a truck. I can be hooked up in 10 minutes. In 20 minutes, I'm on a highway. I'm good. Okay. There's 200 homes. People are aware. Security's on it. We got alerts, but just for the subdivision, and if they don't, I'm telling you, if they don't build a wall and hold the ground, Colorado's in, it's going to make California what happened 2 years ago or whatever look like child's play. It's going to gut Colorado. So just prayers. I'm fine. I'm safe. I got a plan. I'm good. And people are taking it seriously. But just prayers would be nice. Just hopefully they stop it and that all gets prevented. But I believe in the power of positive thinking, prayer. So I thought I'd put that out to the community. I know a lot of people do. And, say a prayer for Colorado, the Gold Mountain fire. And that's that.
Will do. Thank you very much. Pleasure. We'll talk to you soon. Be safe. Let me know as it develops and get the hell out of there ASAP. You're the best. Matthew in Colorado, we love him. James, anything to add? Like I said, we're going to go a little late. If anybody wants to jump in here, it's not normal. We go into a full third hour, but it's about there. So anybody's got something to add, love to hear it. James, anything else, or we'll just wrap this up?
Yeah, no, hopefully everything goes well out there in Colorado for everyone. And yeah, I'm just, this has been amazing. Everyone's calls tonight have been great. And yeah, I'm just really thinking about, or wondering about how this works again. I feel like it's funny because there's two things that I feel like are they feel right to me. One is that this all will probably just keep going. Everything will keep going the way it is, or keep going in general. There won't be any great major, like, the extremes aren't going to happen. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to be everything's fixed going forward because of this or any other synchronicity storm that happens. But also, I do feel like there is some consciousness or a group of consciousness or something, again, maybe one, I don't know, that does set all this up and does it in different ways through the minds of people. I do agree that's a big part of it. And yeah, so I think there's a lot here, as usual.
Yeah, I think no matter how you slice it, it's kind of spooky, right? So spooky to the cosmic aspect of, okay, so the void and the great wheel is what it is. But how come we notice and recognize all these wild patterns that are clearly cyclical, but then also how we can't sort of break them ourselves? It's almost as if we're locked into them, like I always talk about those control mechanisms. But then also if you're like, it's too cosmic, Mike, it doesn't make sense. Like I said, the materialist mind is like, nah. I'm like, okay, well, what about a simulation then? Like, it seems like a cyclical. If you guys have ever programmed anything in your life, any kind of a website or, even minor algorithm or anything, you'll recognize that the easiest thing to do is a cycle, is to, sort of that heartbeat, as it's known, sort of you put information out there and then you tell it to sort of fire and pick up the information in a cycle every 10 minutes or every 30 minutes or every 45 minutes or, every 25,000 years. So I don't know. You get my meaning. I think it's highly complicated and it's super spooky. And no matter how you look at it, I think we're dancing with a something as yet unquantifiable. And look, I know many would just say, Mike, that's God. Yeah, I get that. But also, just a quick question on that is what came before God, right? Like the beginning. In the beginning, there was what? Cool. What happened before the beginning? You see? Like, who will watch the watchers type of philosophy. And like I said, not trying to be blasphemous or idiotic or stupid about it. Just, if there's only a hard beginning, then what became before the beginning? Because, right? Anyway, too late into the night to get into that. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let's talk bosons. What's up, brother? This is Eric, Eric in Ohio. Yeah. How you doing, my man? Welcome to Troubled Minds. Thanks for staying up late with us. Happy Independence Day to you and yours. And what do you know about synchronicities and how does it fit with bosons? I think is our angle here.
I know more about bosons than I do synchronicities, but I did throw up the Police album and Carl Jung. That's about as far as I know about that. And then like the idea that you can have too much dopamine in your brain as opposed to not enough, which is generally the diagnosable thing that people have. But there's also a type where you have too much dopamine in your brain and it makes you feel like everything is deeply connected and related to you. It's a type of chemical imbalance. But Yeah, not to say that doesn't happen, just that some people actually have that as a weird disease. It's a strange thing. But bosons, yeah, man. There was like an Indian scientist named Satyendra Nath Bose. I'm going to say that again because I'm not sure if I said it right. Satyendra Nath Bose. And this scientist worked with Einstein, and they were working on force-carrying particles, which are particles that will carry things like we found 3 out of 4. We've got 4 forces of the universe. We've got the weak, the strong, electromagnetism, and gravity, right? We have bosons that we quantified for 3 out of those 4. Light boson energy carrying packet is the photon, and gravity would, let's see. Then there's the weak force, which is governed by the Z and W boson. And then there's the strong force that's governed by the gluon, which is the carrying force for that. The strong force, the gluon, is what holds the nucleus of atoms together, the protons and the neutrons. The weak force is basically like radiation, governed by the Z and W boson. They carry that, they radiate off, moving that energy and that force. And of course, photons is light radiating. And so we're hoping to find the graviton, the one for the force of gravity, but we haven't found them yet. And that's what the Large Hadron Collider was essentially looking for when it found the Higgs boson. And the difference between the two is the Higgs boson is the force-carrying particle of a field that allows energy to settle into matter to make it energy physical. Because in the universe, everything, energy and mass is, interchangeable, but they're 2 opposite ends of the scale. And when you're at one end of the scale and you're traveling at a vector particle like light, time stops for you. Time is irrelevant, and speed, it doesn't really mean anything. On the other end of that scale, time is traveling as fast as it can for an object, and it creates a gravitational well. And the gravitational well is the warping of space-time. So time slows down in a gravitational well, from the Earth to the sun to a singularity. It slows down. And the bosons are responsible for the mass. The bosons are responsible for the gravitational force that bends the space-time dimension. And time dilation is an aspect of that. Recently, there was a paper that was written that people were studying Bose-Einstein condensates, which are when you take a gas and you almost freeze the gas. You take the temperature completely out of it. So there's very, very little activity with the atoms of that gas. And once you do that, they start reacting as a whole. And as a whole, they act as one giant atom. And you can do a bunch of experiments with these. And these one guys, they did this experiment where they were trying to see if they could show that time existed within this Bose-Einstein condensate. And they were able to do it. And they wrote a paper on it. And they were saying that, this is a really good example of showing you that time is an emergent property of our universe. So when you're talking about simulation theory, the idea that the things that I just talked about added with Roger Penrose's reduction theory, which is the idea that when superposition exists and items are entangled and they exist in 2 spots at once, that gravity will typically collapse that wave function into something that's reality. And that most of the time, wave functions are collapsed by dissidence, like randomly all the time, right? Or an observer effect type of a situation. But the idea that in certain areas of the universe, the wave function can also collapse into a reality would indicate that the Higgs boson interacting with energy causes mass, which warps space-time continuum, which causes superposition to become reality. And that's a great aspect for a projected universe on the edge of the Hubble vision, right? Where the observing and the idea that this is congealing is causing reality to occur subjectively from you or I also being an observer. But he took that reduction principle into orchestrated reduction, and the way that they've got it worked out is in the cytoskeletal structure of a neuron, which is made up of microtubulars. These microtubes, they move with London forces and hydrophobic pockets, right? These hydrophobic pockets resist each other inside the tubulin and causes the edge of atoms to push together. It causes the electrons to push together, and that's where the entanglement occurs, is in that moment when they are pushed together. And this builds through the cytoskeletal structure into the neuron and through several neuron nodes, protected by actin, which acts as an insulator against dissidence, which is what would normally collapse this wave function, the superposition of the electrons around the atoms inside the microtubulars, right? They do this until enough of them get built up that they start to be subject to microgravity, which collapses them into a final state. And what their argument is that consciousness is this. It's this collapsation of the entangled electrons in your brain in these areas that is affected by the small structure of the universe. And the thing about this is, even though it sounds super materialistic, it's actually not. It's the opposite from materialistic. Materialistic is that who you are is locked inside your brain, and it's an emergent property of your brain. It doesn't come from outside. But what OR and Roger Penrose and Stuart Hammerhoff are saying is that your brain is an entangler device. It quantumly entangles different aspects of your personality and your reality and your immediate vicinity, just like relativity is your immediate personal time and your immediate personal space in a four-dimensional universe. This is also your own individual entangled personality, and that the collapse function happens at the Planck level, which means that any type of intelligence or forethought or creativity would seem to come from whatever the smaller realm is that exists outside of the projection. Just like entanglement exists outside of the projection, not subject to time, since it can have instantaneous information brought together, right? Time has no effect. Distance is actually an illusion as well. So time and distance are tied together in our four-dimensional universe, but is an emergent property of that projection. So in almost every case, in almost all quantum materialistic views, really the end result of what's being said is that there is a realm beyond ours that is the substrate of our realm, and ours is a projection. The idea of time, the idea of distance, the idea of who we are all projections from this other place. A lot of times we talk about it as having all the two-dimensional information stored on the event horizon of a singularity kind of an aspect, and that you can actually have that be three dimensions. So nothing is lost. There's no information lost, but also in this sense too. So anyway, just thinking about the whole idea of the Large Hadron Collider finding the Higgs boson, and they were a little surprised when they found it because it didn't weigh what they thought it would weigh, and that's why they called it the God particle, because without it, matter wouldn't exist. Nothing solid would exist. Everything would be vector particles. Everything would travel at 186 miles per second. You would live in a universe of energy. Nothing would have coalesced.
It's all photons.
Matter.
At that point, it's all photons.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, essentially, about X-rays, photons, and all that. So it's the God particle, because really, truly, nothing would exist without it. Even more so than gravity. gravity, right? Gravity is an emergent property of the effective mass bending space-time. So you wouldn't have even got to gravity at all had you not had this Higgs field, right? You wouldn't have had time dilation in a universe that was made up of vector particles. You wouldn't have been able to do that as well. So it's a really interesting combination of things. So, synchronicities. Geez, yeah, I don't know.
That was a question I was about to ask you. So tell me about the synchronicities. So, and this is the thing too. Like, I agree with you. It is befuddling. It is one of those things where I try and wrap my mind around it, and I'm like, none of this makes any sense whatsoever. And then it just keeps coming. And so it's like, are we that sort of, a million-year ape evolutionary aspect of pattern recognition expert, kind of seeing the clouds in the sky as a face, as a predator, or is there something deeper, or is it all combined? And to me, I think, like I said, I'm not a religious guy. And intentionally and also unintentionally, it's not a provocative thing when I say that. It's because I'm, if I have to label myself, I hate labels. I'm an agnostic. But I think when you look at all of the things and all of the experiences of our lives and the things that you don't even recognize as syncs, then they become syncs. You're like, am I fine tuned to this, or is it finding me and I'm not? Or as Matthew in Colorado said very smartly, do you have to make room for them? I mean, there's some stuff here that's very unmeasurable and very, very, very interesting to talk about.
The nature of that question strikes to the crux of something, like you said, that's really deep, right? Like, if you can assume that this is a simulation, and so many scientists now believe that this is a simulation more than they believe there's alien life on other planets. It's weird. It went from the Drake equation, and it'd be crazy to think that there wasn't life somewhere else. And now, more than anything, they're saying it seems like a simulation, which could preclude or exclude things like aliens and multiple things, right? Because it's a simulation. And when you were talking before I came on, I was thinking of a joke when you're like, hey man, what was before the birth of the universe? What was before God? I'm like, my guess is it was a wanna ad, like a wanna divine demiurge control simulation 5HT2A. And could you just watch this for us for an eternity? All right, you got the job, and now there's somebody just like, yeah, I see it's going. Yeah, it's going. It's getting near the end. It's fine. It's going to, just like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right? Where they built Deep Thought, the greatest computer ever made, the deepest thinking artificial intelligence ever in existence. And they ask it, what is the answer to life, the universe, and everything? And they waited millions of years. And part of the simulation was Earth. Because the book starts out, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy starts out with this little girl in a restaurant. She just figured out the answer to everything, to life, the universe, and everything. And then the Earth gets blown up, to make way for a hyperspace bypass. So they lose it, right? But they finally get to Deep Thought, and they ask it, and it tells them the answer is 42. And they're like, what? 42? What do you mean? And he's like, yeah, I know. It's a crazy thing, right? But the answer is 42. So we're going to build this larger computer that's even bigger and has a larger simulation, and it's going to contain planets and galaxies, and it's going to work everything out, and it's going to find out what the question is, which is really what you're asking when you're asking what the answer is.
Which is, again, so you could cook up an answer. And 42 I've heard a lot, by the way. I've never read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've been scolded many times as a result of that. But apparently it's one of the ones I should read. And look, hey, by the way, at the Troubled Minds reading list, look, I'll read them all, but I'll just take a year off. So you decide. You want me to show up like a 1 quarter cocked, like with a what's not a Snopes, but what's the old Cliff Notes synopsis, or is it for a conversation, or do you want me to just like shut down for like 2.5 years and go read all the shit, right? Like,
no, I
you decide. I'm not saying you. I'm saying as a collective and as as who I am and what this is. Like, that's not the point. Like, I don't actually, I could literally just shut down for 10 years and read all the things and come back way smarter. Right. But also then I wouldn't be talking to all you people, which also, by the way, makes me way smarter. Just a thing. Go ahead.
I got reamed for not reading Tolkien, for not reading Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Like, people were constantly giving me crap about it because I'm such a D&D guy. And so finally, dude, I did what you said. When I went to Florida to get my master's, I used that 4 years to also read the Silmarillion, The Hobbit, and the Lord of the Rings, you know, and like look at all the appendices and all those things like that and check out the genealogies and stuff. And it was really cool. I'm glad I did. But like you said, man, I literally kind of had to shut down, quit, you know, move out of the state, not see my friends, not do any gaming to get these things read, because they're, you know, it's a big task to do it, man. I wouldn't say Hitchhiker's Guide in the Galaxy is, there's like 4 books in that one. So
it's not the Iliad or anything.
No. God, I had to read that too. I read the Iliad and the Odyssey. You know, the sequel to it and stuff. That it was okay. I actually like the Iliad.
The Journey Home, right? Odysseus and then
the Odyssey. The Journey Home. They're getting ready to show that on a movie. I think that's a new movie.
It's coming this summer. It's got Matt Damon.
Yeah,
Matt Damon's in it.
Yeah,
damn it, Matt Damon.
Troy was about the Iliad that we had like maybe 10 years ago that had Val Kilmer in it.
Was it Val Kilmer? Was it?
I think it was.
No. Brad Pitt as Achilles, right?
I get them too confused.
Whatever. Sexy young men with 6 packs. Yeah, I got it.
Blonde hair, blue eyes, 6-pack.
Not on my list, a high list of things to remember. But I mean, look. So synchronicities to you, if something hits you like that in the intuition space, do you give it time, like Matthew was saying? Like, do you actually like kind of slow down and stop and think about it, or do you just kind of like pass on?
I do, but it's so far out of, it's usually a skew of reference to the point that I don't know what to do with the information. Like when I got the apartment that I got now, I was actually I had been back in Ohio for like a year and 1 day, and it seemed really weirdly synchronous to me that it took that amount of time to get established. But there's not been anything that's hit me so hard or that's weighed so heavily in my life that it's drawn my attention for more than a few seconds or anything. I'm a big believer in luck, and I've definitely had a lot of lucky situations occur in my life. So I tend to chalk those synchronicities up to a type of luck, because for some reason synchronicities seem to be beneficial more than negative.
It feels that way, right? I mean, but I don't know. Like, I think if I died in a gutter, you wouldn't hear me talking about synchronicities at all. So, I mean, maybe it's just the circumstance that kind of comes out of it. And we're here to talk about it, so it feels positive. So maybe the opposite is like the Cthulhu tentacle version of synchronicity that has you meet your end in the worst of ways. I don't know. And look again. I'm not a doom monger. I'm not telling you any of those things are going to happen to you, and I do not suggest you even think about them. But also, you understand what I'm saying, is if one thing is possible, then the opposite must also be. If there is luck, then there is bad luck. And that's my point.
Some of the examples that Jung used when he wrote his book on synchronicities was somebody dying and thousands of miles away, a picture of them falling off of a wall at the exact same time that they would have been in their accident or whatever that killed them. And there was a lot of examples like that. And of course, as I'm sure James could point out, the events like that have probably been interpreted in a variety of ways, from strictly paranormal to something more materialistic or connected, like, entanglement or something like that. There's probably been a lot of ways that synchronicities have been summed up. And, Jung was just one of the people who was saying, well, here's what I think it is. He was big in establishing like a Gestalt mind kind of a situation where your mind could reach out to touch someone else's mind. Perhaps if they were related or close or something, that the bond would be stronger. So, I mean, that's psychology, and it doesn't, to me, sound that different from parapsychology and mediumship and some of the principles of spirituality, right? Like, I would think a spiritualist would say the same thing. Yeah, if you're connected with someone and you love them, you're more likely to receive a signal from these people. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like that's I guess he was oftentimes talking about a lot of personal synchronicities between people in the world, but you guys have been talking about more of a design synchronicity, larger aspects of things connecting together, like super polymers, man, like plastic just stringing out there.
Yeah. I mean, well, the thing is, so if you believe in a personal synchronicity as a right, like a constant, is something that kind of comes and goes within our lives, then certainly, we, as I always say, if there's good luck, there's bad luck. Then if there's a personal singular synchronicity, then certainly there might be a scaled version for society, right? Because we have the collective mindset, there's a noosphere that we talk about, there's the zeitgeist itself, there's mass media, MK Ultra for the masses. I mean, so you see how my mind works. I'm like, okay, cool. Look, if you can establish in a moment, this is a thing, and I kind of really believe this. Notice I said believe. Whether it's true or not, you decide. But if this is a thing singularly, then could this not also be a thing at scale? And that's why I'm such a weirdo, is because once I kind of lock onto something, I think about it in those terms. I don't think about it in okay, well, this must mean A, B, C, D. I go, holy crap, this is the alphabet in a fractal, right? it's beyond the comprehension of even my crazy, wild, troubled mind. It's beyond that. And so then suddenly the conversation becomes something way different, and which is why we do it the way we do it. And that's, I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but just as a, to the people that find us and come and go, we've had people come and go over the years, and thank you for being part of this and listening and dealing with my crap. Because look, I'm a fence sitter, a cosmic fractal fence sitter, and that's a t-shirt. Book that. What else you got, brother?
Oh man, I just, when you talk about simulation and you think about quanta in general, the idea of, energy being discretely packaged in certain levels, not going under or over certain levels. And that's such a weird thing, man. Like that doesn't in any way sound analog in any sense. There's no blending or anything like that. And it's disturbing, right? It's disturbing because it seems rationed out by something. And it's hard to imagine nature rationing out something so specific. One of the first things that really caught people's attention about quanta was the sun. I mean, it seems to produce more green frequency than anything else, which is evident because we live on a green world where the plants are like, look, we've had enough green. We want to reflect this back. So we're taking everything, all the ready energy, but not the frequency of green because there's too much of that green, right? So, if you lived on another planet with another star that produced different energy levels, you might have different colored plants and grass and stuff. But for our planet, we get way too much green from our sun, and people were wondering, why? It's a big giant fireball. Why would it be more green? And that led them to discover that the frequencies being produced by the sun were all in discrete quantas, and that the green quanta filled up an area of energy that was larger than the others due to the nature of the frequency. And that's really what got people to start looking into quantum anything, right? The idea that anything's divided up. I think the next thing that they studied after that was orbital shells, orbital energy shells of electrons, because the idea of quantum tunneling was first coined by someone watching an electron jump from one energy state to another and not move in between. I mean, the idea of quantum tunneling, quantum leap was right from watching electrons shed a photon and reduce their quantum energy shell, or absorb a photon and increase their quantum energy shell. And, so the whole idea that all of these things are just chopped up into little bits is crazy, right? That doesn't sound like nature. Like if I was going to show you the core of nature, the depth of nature, like Mike, I'm going to show you the reality of nature. And it turns out they're just like in these little packets. I've got like little pieces of candy, got them wrapped up and stuff, right? These are for this is for that, right? That'd be weird, man. I think that's it. That's all I've got. I think it's weird.
It would be weird. No, and that's the point. I think that's exactly the thing, right? Like, and why I reject answers. Look, I don't like answers. I just don't. Clearly, we know some stuff scientifically as humans in the cosmos, but the answers we sort of dally with. Look, they're good. Science is good if it's stuck to and not politicized. But beyond that, we still, like, we are toes in the ocean when it comes to what the cosmic knowledge actually is. And so answers to me are like, all right, cool. That may be exactly directly true for the time being, but come back to me in like 50 years. And so I'm thinking 50 years, 100 years. I'm thinking 5,000 years in the future. Like the stuff that we're talking about right now might be quantifiable then. It's not now. It's a very ambiguous space of ideas, and it's basically the Twilight Zone in a conversation, right? Like we're talking about the mind space. Yeah, exactly. Like the ephemeral mind space of high strangeness. But still, just because you can write it off and be like, well, that doesn't have to do anything with my commute or the gas prices or, the job I work. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But does it have anything to do with the dream space that affects your attitude on the way to work? Maybe. So I don't know. I mean, we're of like minds here, but I don't know. The more questions I get, the more intrigued I am, and that's what brings me back. Appreciate you, brother. You got fireworks primed for the weekend, or they don't allow them in your draconian neck of the woods?
I'm working on the 4th.
Shit.
They're draconian. I'm working. I'm on a 7-day stretch right now.
Sorry about that.
That's right.
Regardless, happy Independence Day to you and yours.
Yeah.
Thanks for staying late with us. Go ahead.
Real quick, I wanted James. Are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, yes. I just wanted to make sure I didn't say hi, and I wanted to say hi, and I also wanted to tell you that about 45% of the people that come through where I work at, on their vehicle, they've got a cryptoid of some sort. Like mostly it's Sasquatch. Then it's like there's Hairman, and there's Dogmen, and then there's Mothman and some other stuff, right? Like, and this guy was coming through, and I was talking with him because usually I ask them, I'm like, hey man, if you guys went down to the Bigfoot festival that's down south of where we're at, they got like a Bigfoot festival every year and a UFO thing. And this guy was telling me, he's like, yeah, man, I have Sasquatches that live on my property with me, and I've got video of them, and I've got a YouTube. And I'm like, really? And I was talking with him about a Hairman or Grassman, and he was telling me all this lore, like about that at some point in the past that the Grassmen and the Sasquatches were warring or some such thing like this, right? And his wife was beside him, and she was saying the same stuff. Anyway, they gave me their card, and I'll have to find it. I don't have it on me right now. It's like over in a thing over there, but and he gave me their card, man, and told me like to watch their videos on YouTube. I haven't gotten over there yet, but I was like, man, I gotta let James know.
Nice. Yeah, that's fascinating. While you're here, I wanted to tell you, yeah, I have heard of accounts of, objects moving around the time of someone's passing. And I've also heard of, people experiencing some of the pain of that person is passing. So, and of course, all these things, that I was thinking this whole time you were all talking about. One thing I've come down to now is there's never going to be enough proof to convince everyone that anything anomalous is really happening. Probably not going to be enough proof of anything to convince everyone about anything, because people are all different and we all change. And so, yeah, your whole conversation to me, because I just don't understand a lot of the scientific stuff, it boiled down to, proof is never going to be an absolute thing, because everyone's going to be different and changing, and it reminds me a lot of just reality in general.
Yeah, I guess I should probably state that all of the stuff that I rattle off is not necessarily my belief or even my orientation in terms of anything really. I mean, these are just I could give you like three more of other people's theory about what superposition is, right? Like this is just Roger Penrose's reduction. I don't subscribe to it. I don't tell everyone this is the right thing or anything. But like James said, no one's going to be satisfied. And even these theorists have their own pet theories that they're producing, right? So a lot of the stuff that I talk about is just stuff that I'm really interested in and have read, because I'm interested in it. And I don't really subscribe to it, though. I'm not saying, yeah, man, this is the way to go. It could, the materialist very well could be correct in what they say. And it may not be that your brain is a encoder, that touches onto a different level of reality to have its intuitiveness and intelligence. But I think that the theory is really interesting. And I think that when a lot of people see it, they say, oh, this is a materialist theory. And actually, it's just the opposite. It's not. Like the actual scientists and neuroscientists are like, man, this is the craziest stuff we've ever heard of. How do you have in a wet, warm brain, a wave function not just collapsing from dissonance? Like it's but it's given rise to things like chaos-assisted quantum tunneling, people studying in places that they would have never thought to study things, because these guys are like, hey, man, we think it might work like this. But at first, like 10 years ago, this was fringe science. So, facts are temporary, right? Like 20 years ago, this would have been, science fiction along with AIs, right? But now these are the things that are appearing in textbooks and things that we've got to contend with in our own realities.
Yeah, and this is why, when I come across multiple accounts of similar experiences from people throughout time around the world, it's why I can't just write it all off. Because if there's any percentage of those people that are accurate in what they're talking about, not exaggerating, not lying, then what is that? How does that work? And I don't know.
As I always like to say, it's complicated. So let's talk about it. Let's keep thinking about it. Hey, just because two things, and then we'll wrap this up. Number one, just because you emphatically believe something with all of your fiber does not make it true. Also, the inverse. If you emphatically reject something with all of your fiber does not make it false. You get it? Like just think in terms of what you've made yourself to be. Shout out over there on the Rumble chat, Karen from Knights of the Storm said this. Don't know what the heck is going on, and I admit it, but love is the more powerful force in my way of thinking. And I added, and I think this is important. Whether you believe in spirituality, the human soul, metaphysics, anything, I don't think it matters, because you choose. So if you have the choice, the ability to choose who you are and who you become, like I've always said, like I'm not a Christian, but I have no problem with Jesus. The Christ consciousness is a very beautiful thing in the human space. But you understand what I'm saying. So if you choose it freely and you you embody that as part of who you are and your calling. Go get it. But recognize that if you do not choose freely, somebody else will choose for you. And that's what I'm always rambling on about. Not to demean the philosophical systems of old. I think they're important. But also recognize that if they're forced down your throat in draconian ways, then they're probably not the same things you think they are. That's all. That's it. That's all I got to say. Happy Independence Day. Anything else, Eric? To you, final thought,
No, sir.
James, and let's wrap this up. No, sir. Eric in Ohio, please give him a follow. Thank you to Sweets, who's linked all his link trees in the chats, on all the chats. Please do that. Also, very simply, like this is the whole point. I'm sorry that I haven't added you guys yet. I promise you, there's proof that I will, because there's all these people that are there. And actually asked some of the people that have been waiting. I'm sorry about that. And I'm talking to you, Karen Rocks. I'm sorry about that. I got you. I got a 3-day weekend. I keep saying I promise, and I keep failing you. Here's the thing, though. All of these amazing people, and more of you, more in the chat that aren't on this list, make this show go. Help our friends. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down. It says follow Eric. Click it. You get right there. You get his link tree. Go check out all the stuff he's working on. Appreciate you, brother. Happy Independence Day to you and yours. Be safe, please, because who knows what the next 3 days brings. And always a pleasure. Thanks for jumping in here and staying up late with us.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone.
Have a great night. Anything else, James? And then let's wrap this up.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. This has been great, and all the calls and everything. And yeah, looking forward to Sunday's show as well.
Oh, yeah. There's the tease, right? Sunday's show is going to be the recap. So take notes on your dreams. Take notes on your intuitions. Take notes on what happens around you. Recognize the fireworks are one thing, but this larger aspect of what's happening in the ritual space is a whole nother thing. So just pay attention. That's all. Of course, keep your loved ones close. Keep yourself safe. Do all the things. Keep all the fireworks away from extremities that could be blown off, and all the good stuff. Be safe. And that's it. And that's what so we're going to do on Sunday night, the debrief, the recap, the idea space of this entire Trickster summer in all the ways. So sort of a free-for-all, like an open minds, troubled minds. Bring us what happened, what you think is happening. That's that. That's that. I don't know what else to add. Man, can Michael Strange talk? You bet your ass he can. This guy. This freaking guy, James. This guy shut up. Jeez, I'm telling you what. Let's go that one. Anything else to add, or outro music in?
Also, I've realized that fireworks are evil, just like the sun is evil. I'm kidding, kind of. But no, thanks, Mike, for having me on as always.
You're the best, brother. Appreciate you. Johnny on the spot, reading all the things, keeping up with everything, inspiring these conversations, and just being a massive part of this, the glue of the show. If you haven't followed James yet, you're hurting my feelings. Would you please? And all the, as always, all the rest of these amazing people, TroubledMinds.org/friends. James is the glue of the show. Johnny on the spot, even if he's like, I'm not kind of interested in this idea, Mike. That's cool. Take the night off, man. And then he jumps in and he's like, I got a thing, Mike. Because there are threads everywhere, and that's the point. Okay, so keep your mind open, but not so open that your brain falls out. Remember, you are the advocate for yourself. All right, don't fall for all the tricks, but also recognize that some of the tricks aren't necessarily tricks. SalsidoParanormal.com, SALSIDO Paranormal.com. Please go buy his books. Please go listen to his podcast. Look, it is the most comprehensive paranormal archive on the internet. That's the fact. That's a fact. Over 1,000 episodes of all angle of paranormal stuff. Look, I've been on that show. Derek has been on that show. Jen is on that show most Saturdays. Look, so many people have been part of this, but James is the beating heart of that idea, that paranormal space of there's not just one thing. There's just not the binary of demons and angels. The paranormal exists in many ways, and James is carrying the torch on that on the internet and in the modern space. So if you're not following him, you're not buying his books, you're not hanging out in his Discord, you're hurting my feelings. Please help our friends. If you want to help us directly, very simply, help our friends, troubledminds.org/friends. Also spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening, but we're not going to tell you who to vote for. Every narrative we do is not going to devolve into some bullshit nonsense of who to vote for or what angled BS political narrative is. I was about to say something I shouldn't say. Is the talk of the day. All right? That's it. We're here to talk about being human. We're here to talk about what we don't know. We're here to talk about the unseen realm and consider what comes next. That's it. If you want to help us directly, troubledfans.com. Thank you to Sweets for dropping that in all the places. I'm sure it's all out there. All my tentacles are tucked in behind my shirt at this point, so I'm not going to do any of that. But thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this. Thanks for caring about the conversations. Thanks for considering that you might be wrong about some things, but also confirming that you might be right. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. Have a great Independence Day. Please be safe out there. Please, please, please be safe out there. We don't know what the next 3 days brings, and I'll leave it at that. Take care. We'll see you guys on Sunday night, God willing. Michael Strange, out. Thank you, Sweets, for the link. See, you just say the words and speak the words, and you're great friends. Link the things. Appreciate it very much.